So, the situation. Our heroes, the crew of the Scarab-class light freighter Nautilus, have been hired to investigate a missing ship, another Scarab freighter called the Shamsa. This ship was on a scientific research mission out in the outskirts of the Dabaran system. They found the ship, kind of. It was docked to an old space station at the time, which rather weirdly was covered in plants, despite being out in the edges of a solar system.
It's probably Japanese knotweed that gets everywhere.
That could well be it, yes. So they didn't feel like docking their ship with this for reasons of, to my mind, totally unwarranted paranoia. It's a good point. I haven't set the multi, have I? Whoops. While investigating, they have found interesting stuff, really. They found plants all over the place.
Indeed.
Not only on the outside of the... Actually, why am I setting them like the multi? Is either of you actually streaming? Can I just check that before?
I am, yes.
Because I know I'm being hosted by Knight, so...
I'm streaming because I felt we needed a backup.
Right, excellent. In that case, I'm just going to do it there.
I've already set your multi-fish.
This is what comes of me not paying attention. Try to work on 3 screens, which are in slightly different places to where I'm used to them being. Chatty's in a different place to where I'm used to it being. Basically, everything's in a different place to where I'm used to it being. I was planning on editing this playthrough after it's done. I know it's being highlighted on the Hidden Place channel anyway, but I was planning on editing the videos and seeing if I could crunch them down to like 1 feature length or something, and put it up, because there's a lot of waffle and extraneous corridor walking in this. So I did think that maybe I could get it down to a shorter, more punchy and dynamic version. When we get to this episode, a large chunk in the middle of this introduction will be removed. So, they investigated the station. They found a lot of plants. They also found at least one humanoid plant creature, which they never got a clear look at, and which didn't damage them in any way or attack them in any way, but was just watching them and then disappeared. They have had some trouble with the plants themselves. They have they've had their route obscured by the plants. They've had items that they wanted held in place by vines, and in one case a person held in place temporarily by a vine. And they've spent a lot of time trying not to walk on the plants and then eventually giving up because there was no way to do it.
Yeah, if I had spike heels at this stage, I'd be using them.
So, after accessing some computers, they've ascertained that this is an old Dabarani station which disappeared 100 years ago, or possibly more than 100 years ago, at the end of the Portal Wars, during which the Third Horizon, where this game takes place, was separated out from the rest of human space. Its portals now only travel within the Third Horizon, they don't go anywhere else. They've also discovered that this station was on a mission to investigate a mystic plant associated with the icons in order to save a Dabarani region which has in fact long since succumbed to the desert, so there's nothing left to save. However, something is definitely still alive on this station, and something capable of talking to them, because it's activated the internal comms. It did this at about the point that our heroes were planning to blow up the station. They have set a reactor overload, essentially, in the fusion reactor, aided along with a couple of explosive charges to make sure that it doesn't just safely shut down, and are now scurrying towards airlocks, while also leaving a couple of people to try and make sure that nobody disables the charges, and thus obviously have to flee at the last minute. Unfortunately, as they started heading towards the airlocks, what should appear in front of them but yet more of these mysterious plant creatures.
And then the
And
gravity
so-
died.
And then the gravity.
Well, no, the gravity died just before that, in fact.
Yes.
Yes, you cut the gravity.
It seemed like a good idea at the time.
Yes.
And you're that on the
So, yes.
t-shirt.
You were doing your swimming through the air thing towards the airlock, and in each location,
Need a snowman.
in between Shahad and the airlock, two of these plant creatures appeared. Just to clarify, because there was no gravity and I said that they stepped into view last time. So let me just clarify how this is working. They have done exactly what I said, despite the fact there is no gravity and you are floating. Two plant creatures stepped out of a side corridor and walked into the corridor. They are walking a little clumsily, but they are walking, despite the lack of gravity.
That's cheating.
Probably a traction thing with the fact that they're plant and they're on plant. They're probably part of the same thing, sort of rippling itself along.
Oh, I could have done without that image, thanks. But
Deep
yeah, agreed.
in the depths of the station in engineering, where Zeynep was headed towards the lift shaft, no lift needed anymore because of the lack of gravity, two more stepped out of the darkness there, blocking her route to the lift shaft.
Yeah.
In each case, these creatures are humanoid in shape. They are humanoid in size, one of them rather taller than the other one, the shorter one somewhat stockier. And Zeynep can't see very clearly down in engineering, but upstairs, so to speak, by the airlock, where you can see them rather more clearly, you can see distinctly human, though rather grey and unhappy features. Imagine, if you will, a Borg from Star Trek, but replace all of the metal and plastic components with plant. That's roughly what you're looking at.
Why
I
do I
wanna see when it blooms.
It's the remains of the crew.
And you have two of these in each location.
Are they both the same description? One short and stocky, one tall.
Yes, they are the same description in each location.
How high are the corridors? So if I would swim along the ceiling, move in gravity, would I get past them without them reaching for me? Could be just the bad now.
The taller one could certainly reach you even up at the top. The shorter one you might be able to squeeze past.
Ah, that sucks.
So, if I get rid of the cat,
No! Hello, Moggy.
who waited until I'd finished the introduction and then decided to come and jump on my book. So let's do some initiative, because we've never done a combat in this game, so no idea how this
No,
works
you're
yet.
right.
Right, so
Where do I find my initiative?
all participants in a fight, willing or unwilling, roll one die each. The result of each die is the initiative score for that person.
D6, yeah?
Okay, yeah, just a d6 for initiative.
Oh crap!
Really? Clearly,
I
Fantasy
should-
Grounds is broken. I demand a
Oh,
reset.
probably.
Just a D6.
I should probably try and use the combat tracker, even though I'm not really set up for it. If I can find the combat tracker.
Actually, HUD's okay.
Yeah, Shahatu's bugging out. Right,
There
understandable.
you go.
Yeah, I don't want.
Zeynep and I are screwed, but Shahad is fine.
Yep.
I'm swimming for my dear life.
Right.
I can envision doggy paddling through the air. God. Who's got a fire extinguisher?
Now I'm going to assume that the order column there is for initiative, would seem to make sense. And just for good measure, let's
Why do I hear a train?
quickly.
Drums.
Oh, it's the battle
It is
music.
indeed
Okay.
drums.
Yeah.
Ah,
Battle
okay.
train.
Ship is falling apart.
Yeah, that's actually the noise as the bits fall off. Oh, I wish I was
I do
kidding.
not know where it has got those numbers from, other than at random. So, let me just roll some dice.
Oh god, I can see the shadow dice rolling.
Yeah. Okay, time to hit my notes.
Right. So, somehow I have managed to put those in the wrong way round. That should be there and that should be there. That's more like it. So, yeah, I was correct. The order space on the combat tracker is indeed handling initiative. One of the fun things about using Fantasy Grounds without a proper rule set is that it doesn't do all this stuff for you. In AD&D, it will roll. I roll initiative. It works. It uses the initiative system from AD&D. Ah, okay.
You opened OBS, didn't you?
Yep, I opened OBS, and that naturally dumped me into a channel in Discord, because that's what OBS does. So, we have an initiative order now. What I've done is I've made a single roll for all 4 plant monsters. Or all 4 plant zombies, as they more appropriately should probably be called.
Yeah, that's exactly what you need
So-
to put it at ease.
Initiative is not as fluid in this game as it is in some of
Yeah.
the other games that we're used to. You don't re-roll each round.
Oh crap.
Yeah. Now, I have always personally preferred re-rolling initiative each round.
Right.
However, the game mechanics here are so tied in with initiative staying as it is that it doesn't make sense for me to house rule in a re-roll, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Fish, can I
we're
just-
going to go with it as it is.
Please, the Twitch mug, the Twitch cup behind you, is it empty?
It is empty, yes.
Okay.
Right, okay, it's just every time Pippin comes past there,
Yeah.
Visions of it going for a burp.
So,
and for something
there are
expensive.
things that can raise your initiative. A surprise attack would have given you a +2 bonus to initiative in the first turn. Fortunately, these things did not surprise attack you, they stepped out in front of you.
They rather surprised us.
Anybody with the combat veteran talent gets to roll 2 dice and pick the best one.
Anyone with what was that one?
Combat veteran.
veteran,
Oh, combat veteran. No, I don't think. I do.
which I have a suspicious feeling that your friend, who none of you can see, so I haven't rolled initiative for her, I
Yeah, the
suspect
security.
has that.
Oh yeah.
I hope she has.
Oh, she's still alive.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
at the moment she's not dead because she was supposed to be defending the reactor so that we could all get
Yes,
blown up
so
together.
she's back that way, and the monsters are that way.
Yeah.
Unless there are more of them back there that you don't know about, obviously.
Oh, thank
You don't know about that.
Such a wonderfully warming concept. Thank you, Fish.
I've got to I've
pleasure.
got to work on my fake shocked eyes.
Oh no, she apparently doesn't have talents, so
She does now.
what comes of being an NPC. Right, you can take actions to move into a better position. When you do that, that will affect your initiative score. So effectively, manoeuvring for position in this game will improve your initiative for further turns. You can also get an initiative boost from exceptionally well made skill checks. Apparently, English is not something I do today.
It's okay.
You get an initiative bonus from certain weapons, but only when you attack with that weapon. Essentially, you would apply that modifier for the round in which you are using it. You can also lower your initiative to voluntarily to any number below your current score. Those of you on 1 may have trouble with that.
Yeah.
Effectively, you can hold your action. Now, this is one of the reasons I don't like systems that don't re-roll initiative. I found this in other games as well. where you hold your action to go later in the round, and then because initiative is fixed, that's then your initiative from that point onwards.
Yeah.
That seems very unlikely to me, because my very, very, very minor experience of combat, I don't get into fights, but I do drill a bit with a sword, leads me to believe that waiting till your opponent makes a mistake and then capitalizing on it does not lower your initiative, it raises it. So that's not a very realistic rule in games that use it, but there you go, that's the way it works in most such games. So yeah, you can continue lowering your initiative as long as you want, really. So
I lower it far enough. Does it loop back into the previous?
It doesn't, unfortunately. No. But
Yes.
rather than it being, I'm going to wait until X action occurs and then do something. The system here is more, okay, I've got an initiative of 6, I'm going to wait till 5. And then on 5, if you still don't have anything interesting to do, I'll wait till 4. And eventually you're going to either go or end the round having done nothing and with an initiative of 1. But you specify where you're lowering your initiative to, and then when you get there you can still choose to lower it again. It's not a one-shot thing. So, on your action, you get 3 action points to spend each turn. And there are 4 types technically, of actions. A slow action takes all 3 points. A normal action takes 2 APs. And a fast action takes 1 AP. There are also some things that you can do without spending an action point on them, so hence the 4th type technically. But most of those will be really reactions rather than actions that you're taking. So, you know, rolling to resist an attack, that kind of thing. It's not really you doing anything. So to give you an idea of what the types of action are, a normal action includes attacking in close combat, firing a weapon, reloading a weapon, or ramming into somebody with a vehicle, or something with a vehicle. These examples are interesting, it must be said.
They've clearly seen me play various games.
Yeah. You can take a fast action and do things like sprinting a short distance, taking cover, ducking, getting up off the ground, drawing a weapon, picking up an item, parrying in close combat. Making an attack of opportunity in close combat costs you 1 action. Making a quick shot rather than a normal shot with a weapon. Going into Overwatch, getting into or out of a vehicle, starting a vehicle, or driving a vehicle. Slow actions are effectively full round actions in certain other games. If you fire an aimed shot, that takes all 3 of your action points. So you can either take a snapshot for 1 point, a normal shot for 2 points, or you can spend your entire action aiming carefully and take a shot, which gives you a bonus. Firing full automatic uses your entire round. Administering first aid, tinkering with a gadget, or activating a mystical power. These are all things that use an entire 3 APs.
So to sum it up, a slow action is changing a light bulb entirely. Normal action is just grabbing the light bulb, and the fast one is smashing it.
Absolutely, yeah, that's a pretty good description. We need Meki to be writing rules for people. He's got it down.
Was that what you might call a light bulb moment?
And that was definitely a light bulb moment. Right. So, generally all your actions must be made at your initiative, but there are exceptions. These are called reactions. So, the 3 different reactions are defending in close combat, attacks of opportunity, and Overwatch fire. So, these happen when they get triggered, essentially. So if somebody swings a knife at you, you don't wait till your initiative to defend against that knife, you defend then, because the knife is coming at you. Similarly, if you've set up Overwatch, which you would do on your action, you don't have to wait. You don't say, yes, somebody has run in front of me, I get the opportunity to shoot at them on my action. You shoot as soon as they run into the way. So those are reactions. The only ones you really will need to worry about are defending in close combat or attacks of opportunity. You can forget about Overwatch fire unless you specifically set yourself up in a sniper point somewhere and declare Overwatch. So we can forget it until somebody does that. Right, ranges in this game are also a bit wafty. You have 4 ranges. You will only ever be worrying about 2 of them. Close range is up to 2 meters, so melee weapons can be used in close range for starters, and short range is up to 20 meters. You're on board a space station that is not 100 meters long, so you're not really going to be worrying about the next range category up. None of these corridors are longer than 20 meters, so that's really not going to be an issue. You can... I said you can move a short distance with 1 AP as a fast action. That would be about 10 meters that you can move. So again, in these corridors, just you can move for 1 AP. You're really unlikely to need to be anywhere else.
I think we've lost audio on a
Yes, I was just going to say, are you actually muted, Strut? I thought you were being quiet while I explained.
I did too.
Apparently
until I saw
not.
Buzz lips moving. Hence my ask in chat. So I didn't interrupt you.
I thought we had finished with the technical issues. I thought
Yes, am I back in the room now?
Yes, you're back in the room. Brilliant.
That's spontaneous. Thank you, VC. And I was, for the most part, simply miming because I was listening to what you were saying, Fish, and I didn't want to
Fair enough.
overrun you. Particularly if at some point we get this for podcast purposes.
Oh, I don't see this one making it to podcast at all.
This would be easy to edit for audio, Fish.
The best we're going to get on this one is, as I said, if I chop this down to an edited highlights version to try and put it out all in one go, because there was a lot of extraneous corridor walking.
Did you say lots of extraneous plot?
Corridor walking.
Oh, okay.
Corridor walking. A lot of extraneous
I heard
corridor
plot,
walking.
Sorry.
It's a walking simulator. They're wildly popular
This,
among
yeah. I did kind of run this as a walking simulator, I've got to say.
Yes, on a smallish space station.
On a small space station. Best kind of walking simulator to program, because you don't have you can reuse a lot of the assets and you don't need to make a lot of it.
Doctor.
Right, okay, so we've gone through some of the basics of how combat works in this game. The main thing that we need to know about is the fact that you have the slow, normal and fast actions, and that you get 3 action points to play with. So, to re-describe the situation, Shahad is headed towards the airlock with 2 plant zombies now blocking his route, and Farouk is a little way behind Shahad. Zainab is approaching the bottom of the elevator shaft, and her route is also now blocked by 2 plant zombies. In both cases, the corridors that you are in are between 2 and 3 meters wide, probably, and a similar sort of height. They're not square, they're more sort of angled. A little bit like the corridors on the Liberator, because I happen to like it.
Okay, can't knock it.
Fishy, for location, are we on a walkway that is basically one side is the interior of the station, one side is the exterior, or are we sort of in the middle of the station?
Yes, because you're approaching the airlock. So we established before that this particular corridor, it has things in between it and the outer hull, but in this area they are mostly cupboards, and it angles further inside the hull until eventually you have rooms on the outside. But apart from the airlock, most of what's on the outside of this corridor is currently equipment bays, cupboard space, stuff like that. There's quite a lot between you and space, but there's no rooms there. So, Shahad has the initiative.
Yes.
What do you want to do?
The 1/6 I rolled. Well, since gravity let go of us, or the other way around, and we start to kind of float mid-walking. I think I have the better eyesight to our new friends in front of us. So the first thing I'm gonna do is swing slightly forward and to the side to enable my comrade to see a thing. And it will push me forward slightly into their direction, but he has a line of sight in case he wants to shoot. So this is at least 1 AP for repositioning.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you were already swimming essentially down the corridor. Mm-hmm. So now you can twist in the air essentially and go to one side out of Farouk's line of fire, so he can clearly see the things up ahead.
Yeah. And I guess
wouldn't recommend he necessarily try and use his flamethrower while you're in between him and it,
but my second action will be to get a hold of my weapon, the Vulcan cricket.
Okay, yeah, that will be a single AP to draw that.
The one thing I do not know if I have any shooting practice in no gravity.
Right.
I might have watched.
I think the only person here who really knows about combat in zero gravity is Farouk.
Question.
Because
are these things?
Has the? I'm sure Farouk has
zero G.
Zero G.
Are these things recoilless? Fishy?
Which things?
Depends on the weapons, I guess.
Guns.
It does indeed.
But the stun gun does not have a recoil. If it has,
stun gun certainly doesn't. No.
Then I really am confused.
Yeah.
It'll have a recoil, just not a significant one because it's projecting sunlight.
Yeah.
Vulcan weapons, again, they will have a small recoil, but relatively light. Think of Vulcan weapons as being like bolt guns in Warhammer 40k, for anybody who knows that. They fire rocket-powered ammunition. So the weapon itself does very little work. It kicks the thing out, and then a rocket in the ammunition fires it towards the enemy. So recoil from your point of view is quite light.
So I've never just got a weapon that actually has a kick to it, because I've got effectively a handheld railgun.
Yeah. Again, really, accelerator weapons don't have a huge recoil. Kind of the point of accelerator weapons in some regards.
Mm-hmm.
It specifically says they're almost recoil-free.
It's
recoilless pistol.
Yes.
So probably the Vulcan gun is the biggest recoil thing here, and even that, it's not going to have a huge recoil because of the way it works.
Hmm. Either way, you're probably going to still end up hitting the ceiling or a wall.
Yeah. It's almost as if all of these weapons were designed for people to be able to use them in low-G environments like space. It's weird.
There's a part of me that's thinking, I wish we had higher powered weapons so we could just blow a hole in the wall.
But then
we have access to a higher powered weapon that can blow a hole in the wall.
Hopefully by the time we blow the wall up.
Whoever's on the ship and say, make us an exit.
Yeah.
You see, there is indeed an accelerator cannon on
yes, there is.
As the name suggests, it's a little bit bigger than an accelerator pistol.
Yeah, I'm just concerned about them blowing up something that we might want to actually be standing on before we blow it up. But, you know, hold that thought for God's sake. Because frankly, at this stage, I'm wondering just how attached I am.
It is a thought I had been considering.
Yeah.
You've spent 2 APs, Becky.
Mm-hmm.
I think your decision at this point is, do you want to do something with the last AP, or do you want to hang on to it so that you can either defend if one of these creatures attacks you, or make an attack of opportunity if it provides you with an opportunity for that?
I do not immediately attack. due to the fact I see it's still attached to the floor, the problem is I do not know how fast this ship moves. Our new
Hang
friends.
on, I'm having sound problems. Give me a moment.
That's new.
That should fix it for now.
Ooh.
The drums just got
There
louder.
is,
Yeah, the sound
Yeah?
of drums.
that shouldn't have changed in the slightest. That's weird.
That's okay, it's fine, because you're still much louder, and they're now at the... We can hear their drums instead of sounding like the 4:15 to London's going past.
Right, fair enough. Yeah, I'm slightly having that problem that they sound louder to me, I think, than they do
Yeah.
to you. So it's hard for me to gauge what the right volume level is. And I've got to have them quiet enough that I can hear you guys.
Yeah. We'll just write notes to you, it's fine.
Yeah,
Hold
that's
them
true.
to the camera.
It did look at one point like that was how we were going to have to run the entire session.
I've got a mini whiteboard. All I need is a pen, I'm good to go.
Right, so
So, I'm saving my AP just to see what they do or how fast they are able to move with no gravity anymore. And me as the first target in reach, so...
So,
Smart.
before they do anything, I am going to jump down and deal with the two down in engineering, because they've got the drop on Zeynep. So, up ahead of you, the two plant creatures begin to move. Again, they are sticking to the floor. There's a lot less plant material down here, but now that your attention has been drawn to it, you can see that a new growth of leaves and vine matter has spread out some small distance from the elevator shaft.
They're bloody Daleks.
It wasn't here before. There was very little here before. It's now been growing while you were doing your business down here with the reactor.
Right.
And they are indeed moving forward on that that carpet of leaf matter.
They are. They're Daleks.
The shorter one moves into a central position, moves forward slightly slower than the taller one, moves into a more central position, and he almost looks like he's taking up position in goal, because he kind of spreads his arms out and he moves as if he's getting into position to block you from coming past, while his compatriot moves rather quicker, and when he gets to the edge of the new leaf matter, launches himself into the air towards you. He's no longer attached to the floor, but he's also no longer walking. He's now drifting in 0G like you are, and is attempting to head straight at you.
Right. Okay. I do have my 3 APs.
You do have your 3 APs, but it's not your initiative.
It's not my
yet.
initiative.
It's still this guy's initiative.
Do
However,
I have to wait to my initiative to defend?
no. You defend
Good.
in reaction to what is happening to you.
That's what
so,
I thought.
you can defend against this attack, because that is indeed what this is. He's hurling himself at you.
Yeah.
This is a fast reaction. You can defend even when it's not your turn, so long as you have the AP. Just to let you know, enemies can only defend if I spend a darkness point.
Yeah, but you've also got all the darkness points in the universe.
I've got 4. That's not all the darkness points in the
Jesus,
universe.
how many did you spend?
He did
I
spend a
spent-
few to spawn these guys.
I
He
spent
didn't-
3 to spawn these guys. Yeah, I had 7, and I spent 3 to spawn these guys.
Yeah. Gavin, sorry, Fishy, how
Right.
high is the room I am in? Because I'm not in a corridor.
You are not in
I'm
the
in
corridor.
the
You have got a higher ceiling.
I'm in the reactor
Yes. You can think of it like the corridor. You've got about 2.5 to 3 meters width here.
Yeah.
But in your case, it's equipment cages and things on the sides
Yeah.
rather than corridor walls. And you've got about a 3 meter clearance. The ceiling itself is slightly higher than that, but again, there are pipes and cables and things up there taking up the last section.
Right. Okay. My defense is going to be a dodge if I can. It's going to be a physical movement out of its way.
Okay, officially what happens here is that he rolls melee combat against you, you roll melee combat against him. Under the circumstances, I am willing to allow an alternative skill. If you want to justify it, if you have some other skill, such as acrobatics, if that exists, I can't remember, that,
Right.
that might be more appropriate, I will allow you to use that.
Right. What I have is dexterity.
Yeah, dexterity, that's probably the sort of thing I was thinking of.
So, what I am actually wanting to do is I want to specifically aim myself for as I look down this room towards him, the upper right of the room.
Okay.
So that I would have purchased both ceiling and, you just said cages, I'm guessing,
Yeah.
grabbable,
Okay.
therefore.
Yeah, so you're effectively trying to scoot over the top of him as he comes towards you,
Yeah.
and into the corner where you can use
Yeah.
the cage wall and the pipes on the ceiling for grip to
Yep.
stabilize yourself. Okay, I will tell you now, there are certain results from defending that you will not have available to you. Normally, for example, you can use a 6 to counter attack. In this case, that's not going to be an issue. So, if you would like to roll your dexterity, and I will roll its melee combat, and we will see
Are
what
they
we get.
Imperatory? Oh, yes!
Ooh.
Okay,
If you're going to do a thing.
so this is a
My
fight
first decent roll of
involving
the whole game.
it's a fight involving Drut and Fish. So naturally, Drut gets 2 successes, and Fish's plant monster gets none. Not a 1. Nothing at all.
We like this.
Yes, I can cope with this.
He
It's my wonder
hurls
bulb
himself into space towards you, and clearly these plant monsters were not trained in 0G.
tonight.
Even though they have been functioning in 0G for most of the last century, they've been doing it stuck to the plant material, essentially. What's happening is that they're using the plant matter on them and the plant matter on the floors and walls in the same way that in the classic 2001 Space Odyssey they had those Velcro shoes for walking on the space shuttle.
I remember the space planes,
It's
yeah.
basically that is what they've been doing. They're not used to floating around in space. So as it hurls itself towards you, it's completely out of position. It starts to spin and twist off to your left. And you, with your 2 successes, hurl yourself to exactly where you wanted to be, up in the corner.
Should give me purchase at least with my hands, hopefully my feet as well.
That defense is going to take one of your 2 6s because he got nothing.
Okay, that's fine.
Your other 6 can, if you wish, be spent to raise your initiative by 2 points.
Yes, doing
Because
that.
you have manoeuvred for position effectively.
Yes, please.
So, Zeynep now has an initiative of 3. Oh,
I'll take
by the
that.
way, can you guys see the combat tracker, or do I need to share it with you? Or
No.
can
No.
I not
Share it.
share it with you?
Unless it's a specific button to push.
I'm not sure on the player view. I forgot to set up my player view this time round, so the stream is just seeing the GM view today.
No, that's character
So
selection.
there you go, the little bit different view as to how things are happening to what I normally give you. It's purely because
No,
I'm
that's
incompetent.
images. Token gin. What is
So-
gin?
Um,
Oh, right, okay.
Data Gin?
Yes.
oh, I think that's a library. So yeah. If it's there, it'll be one of the little black buttons up at the top where things like the options and so
Oh,
forth
there is
are.
a seat. Yes, there we
CT
go.
combat
Got
view,
it.
so you can some
Top left.
some rule sets give you access to the combat
yeah.
tracker, some don't.
No.
Yeah.
So
They could have picked a worse font for that. Not sure how.
yeah, it's not not great. Now that I know we're going to be playing Coriolis more, because everyone seems to have enjoyed this first scenario so far. Assuming I don't kill you all, obviously.
Well, I'm counting on having a new character. Not because I don't like saying that. I just have no faith she's going to live.
I have ideas as to where I can take this after this. So one of the things that I will do as prep on that is see whether maybe I can come up with some different graphics for Fantasy Grounds. But anyway, yes, you have spun yourself off into the corner, maneuvered for position, and got a boost to your initiative. You're feeling more confident now. You know you can strike. Unfortunately, still just after the other one.
Inspired by the Arthur C. Clarke book Islands in the Sky, disturbingly, which depicted lots of zero-G wrestling in classes.
Okay. So, the creature that stayed on the leaf matter effectively moved into position and then saved its other actions. It was ready for... It's in Overwatch, basically, but not with a missile weapon, with melee. So that means that we are down to you. You've still got 2 APs. However, before we get to you, we're going to jump back up and see what the plant monsters upstairs are doing.
Oh, crap.
Because it's their initiative now.
Bastard. It's fine.
So,
It's fine.
what's happening upstairs is interesting. Again, the taller of the two is moving forward and leaving his fellow behind in a similar sort of a goalkeeper-y, I'm trying to block anything from coming through here pose. But up here, because Shehad has moved to a slightly different position, he's a little bit higher and he's off to one side. The stockier creature moves up the wall. It just walks up the wall as if that were the floor, and is standing in this ready to tackle you position on the wall, sticking out sideways into the corridor. In 0G it doesn't look as weird as it would do in full gravity, but even so, you're kind of accustomed to the corridors being in a certain direction, so it takes a moment for your head to come to terms with what's going on here.
Yeah.
The taller one moves forward with some speed towards Shehad. Again, goes partially up the wall and attempts to grapple you. So, again, you can defend at this point because you have an AP to do it. And defending can be done either on your melee combat skill, which will let you do things like each 6 that you get will reduce one of their 6s until eventually, if you get enough, they miss. If you've got excess 6s left over, or even if you just choose to take the hit, you can use your 6s to counter attack or to disarm your enemy, or you can use a 6 to raise your initiative. You could also, if you wish, as I allowed Drut to do, use dexterity instead and use your remaining AP to try and get out of the way, which won't let you have any of the counter-attack type options, but would let you raise initiative if you get enough successes. Or would let you get, and will let you get out of the way if you roll well enough. So, what do you want to do?
I'm actually looking forward to be grabbed.
Are you indeed?
Yes, but
Are you
basically one arm forward so that it can have me. The gun is in the other one.
That sounds remarkably like a counter-attack to me.
It does, yeah.
So that would be a counter attack, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Take me, big boy. Boom.
Slightly weirdly, despite the fact that this is a counter-attack with a missile weapon, I'm still going to count it as melee attack, because you're effectively doing a melee action which ends with you shooting.
So do I need to roll?
So you will need to be rolling your melee combat skill. If you don't have melee combat, it's just rolled on strength.
Oh, I do.
Okay. So He has successfully grappled you with that roll, but that's what you wanted him to do. You did get a 6, which means that you have indeed essentially shot him. Perform a counterattack dealing weapon damage to the attacker. So, yeah. Bang, you go. Did I give you the damage stats for your Vulcan Cricket, or do I need to look them up? I'm
I
guessing
don't think so. This is the first time I used the weapon.
Yeah.
Other than knocking somebody out.
Yeah, weapons. Ah, there we go. Vulcan Cricket. Damage is 2. Normally, you can use additional 6s for extra damage or critical damage, things like that. In this case, you're just going to do 2 damage to it with your Vulcan Cricket.
Hey, I'm happy I did damage.
And I haven't got Fantasy Grounds properly set up to track damage at the moment, so I'll just make a note of it manually.
Because I'm close
So,
up,
yeah.
what does the damage to the plant being look like?
Right, okay. I will explain that as soon as I have checked the result of his grapple. So grappling is a bonus effect from melee combat. So essentially he's got to hit you and then he can use a 6 to grapple, and he's managed that. Right, so yeah. He rushes in towards you and reaches out with plant-covered, desiccated-looking hands with a surprising amount of strength. Not a huge amount of strength, but relatively normal human strength, which he doesn't look like he should really have. That delivers 2 damage to your hit points and manages to grab a hold of your arm.
To my actual hit points?
Actual hit points, yes.
Ooh. Those things we really...
As you reel from that hit point damage, you nevertheless bring your gun arm round into play, not quite pressing it up against his head, but getting pretty close and pulling the trigger. There is the whoosh of an igniting jet and a bang as the thing collides with its head. Oh, I'm sure I must have a shot I can use here. That'll do.
5 hit points, okay.
And bits of plant and what looks like mummified flesh are blown clear, along with, on that shot, a few bits of skull as well, since you effectively shot him in the head.
What do the body fragments look like? And this isn't quite such a gucky question.
Hello, Slimy Fiend, and welcome to the channel. Essentially, yeah, think of a mummy. Take a mummy and wrap it in plant and make it animated. That's basically what you've got here. It is dried out, desiccated flesh, animated by the plant matter, as far as you can tell. Well, you can't tell. You're not there. You're up there. You can't
No,
see it,
I was just thinking for purposes
that's
of
what
A,
it
the
looks
audience,
like.
and B, Meki, who is currently doing all the damage.
Right, so
And to make you describe something disgusting.
that was initiative value 4. So that's going to bring us to 3, which is where Zeynep now lies. You'll notice, by the way, I'm not using the combat tracker to actually cycle through people's actions, since I'm not I'm not using it to track most of the combat. I'm just literally using it as an initiative list.
That's fair enough.
Maybe next time we do a fight in this game, I'll have figured it out better and actually do more using FG. But for the moment, it
One last
does its
question.
job.
Does it make a sound?
The creature does not make a sound, no. Apart from the crumping noise of bits of it being blown off.
Now I know about the pain, of scale of pain. Okay.
Circumstantial description.
Circumstantial description.
The thing that went sailing past me,
Yeah.
how far past me has it gone?
It's kind of twisting around in the air, trying to figure out how to stop and come back, and it's about 2 meters past you at this point.
Right, that's fine.
And it's currently still drifting, so unless it manages to figure out how to get back, it's soon going to be more than 2 meters past you.
Okay. The gates on the equipment cages, roughly how big are they? I've been in and out of this room a few times.
They're sort of normal door size for the most part.
Right then. Okay. Going to tell you what I'd like to do. Gonna let you sort it out.
Okay.
Because it's weird shit, and why
That's-
should I be the
That's the GM's job.
Yeah, you've done it to me often enough. Okay. What I would like to do is offer up a little prayer to the faceless. So that the cage doors, one of which I am currently clinging next to, and basically I'm on a wall of cage doors, are connected not by strange locked bolted items, but by some kind of maglock that can be removed, detached at a swift kick, such as grabbing fingers through the mesh, pushing off, so I can take that with me as I direct myself towards the thing in goal. So basically I want a table maneuver, the goalie with the detached door of an equipment cage in 0G.
Well,
Have at it, Captain. I've got the rules.
Goalie is not close enough. I can't believe I'm actually calling it a goalie. It's my own fault for using that.
Yes, your bloody description.
It
Well,
is.
I was figuring I'm against both the
it's-
ceiling and the walls. There's got to be purchase for me to kick off.
Yeah, the goalie is not close enough for you to hit it with the actual door.
Okay.
You can attempt this maneuver that will put the gate in between you and... Well, if we're going to continue this metaphor, let's actually swap to Blood Bowl. So you can swing the gate open and launch yourself off at the blocker, while the blitzer is on the other side of the gate and will have to maneuver around it.
Works for me.
I can't believe we're playing Blood Bowl in 0G in space.
Apparently, I think Blood Bowl and 0G sounds like an excellent idea. I want to see that rules mod.
Yeah, that rings a bell.
I kind of want to go looking for that while I wait for my turn.
So okay, yeah, fate is on your side, giving you the benefit of getting to change a single concrete detail in a scene more to your favour. Must be something that has a cosmetic or indirectly helpful effect. Right, okay. Now, you are remembering, I hope, that using the Faceless One's talent will cost
Gives you a darkness
point.
I know.
Given which, I'm going to slightly retcon what I just said.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you a little bit more than I was originally going to, because you are drawing on the Faceless One to do this. Reality is slightly shifting in your favour. You tear the lock open. It's a flimsy lock. It doesn't stand against you. The cage door slams open as you pull yourself and it forward with your other arm,
Okay.
and then rips clear of the cage completely.
Excellent.
And you and it both fly out towards the blocker.
Can you surf it towards the blocker and just kick it into its face?
Oh, hadn't thought of that, but it's not.
Coolness is 1 AP.
Yeah. I'm playing the next APs from my next 2 turns in order
hang
to
on,
look
my
extremely
sound
cool.
apparently is not happy today.
Sounds
We
okay to us.
hear you wonderfully.
That's better.
Ooh.
There is something about streaming that Voice Meter Potato does not like on my computer. However, thank you for that follow. I'm not going to attempt to pronounce that. Not even going to try.
Zolotl.
Possibly. Could be.
48. Or the other way around.
Zol sounds good. Yeah, we'll go with Zol. I think we'll abbreviate it to Zol. But yeah, Zolotl 84 by the looks of it. So, yeah, what's happening is you have essentially, I'm going to call that a slow action to do this. So
Okay.
all 3 of your APs have been used. But as part of that action, I will allow you to either roll dexterity
Right.
to kind of flip up and let the cage hit rather than you.
Mm-hmm.
Or the cage door hit rather than you.
Yeah.
Or to roll melee combat to guide yourself and the cage into it. The main difference will be that you can't increase damage if you're getting out of the way.
No.
But if you're steering it in, then I'll let you spend 6s to increase damage if you want.
At the moment, I am aiming more to put it out of position than I am direct damage at this stage.
Uh-huh.
I'd rather knock it down and then sort out something to do with it afterwards. So I think I'm on dexterity to have the nice big flat area hit it at first. Take its head
Fair
off it
enough.
first.
Roll that dexterity.
Yes.
1-6, which is
I'll take that.
enough. So yeah, as the cage door wrenches free and the 2 of you start moving with some speed towards the blocker, you twist in midair. So rather than being underneath the cage door as it's heading towards it, it flips over, leaving you on the other side, and the door
Okay.
strikes first.
Yay.
So
What is the
this-
delivered damage of an equipment cage?
I'm going to call it 2 damage in this instance.
Works for me.
And this is kind of
Yikes!
spread.
Excuse me.
I dread to think. This is kind of spread out across its body. So little bits of desiccated skin burst free in a small puff of cloud, along with a few leaves and bits of plant. You okay?
There was a spider.
I'm guessing there was a spider, yeah.
There was a spider. There was a spider on my leg.
Ooh!
Oh
No,
yeah, that's
thank
not
you.
going to go down well with the drat.
No spiders anywhere else, and I can these days usually cope, or at least not go kill crazy. But that was actually, I glanced down. It was actually on my leg.
At least you had jeans on.
I've got leggings on. Yes, but
Yeah, but any kind of trousers.
yeah.
Could have been a lot worse.
Oh god, yes. Sorry about the yelp. Yes,
So
it's now not existing anymore.
the creature was essentially in Overwatch.
Right.
So it is going to attempt a melee attack against you, which you have
Which
no
makes
APs
sense.
left against. But you do have a cage door in between you and it, so it's got a limited ability to actually reach you.
Good.
And I've got the wrong NPC currently open because I was attacking with the other one. So let's find the stats for this one. And actually press the right button and roll it rather than opening it. Okay. it has managed an attack against you. Essentially, what's happened is you and the cage door smash into it. It reels backwards somewhat, braces, and then just slams the cage back into you.
Ooh,
And that's the third time my sound has gone.
that's cage to cage combat.
Yeah.
Apologies for that. I had to restart the sound at the audio engine there again. So that's only going to do 1 point of damage because
It's a relief.
it's not going to do as much damage as a flying cage door with a person on it. So you will take 1 hit point from that.
Yeah. Just looking. Oh, stuff. So -1 HP.
So that flicks us back to Farouk.
Ooh, my go.
Yes.
So,
So the situation that you have is on the left-hand wall, up towards the ceiling, Shahad is grappling with one of these plant creatures and has just unloaded his Vulcan cricket into its head to some effect, but not a huge effect. And the other one, as I said, has moved partially up the wall and is standing on the side wall. So you don't have as good a line of fire as Shahad had hoped to give you, but you can see it clearly enough to try a tricky shot if you want.
Right, questions, of which I have several.
Okay.
How far aft of the airlock are we?
Let me see. The airlock is probably about 4 meters behind where the fight is taking place, and the fight is about 2 meters from you.
Okay. Are there any pipes, conduits that I can see that might be containing something flammable? You know, like I might be able to maybe spend 1 action point to get a snapshot to get a flow of gas, fluid, whatever, that I can then ignite.
I think from the previous descriptions of the
I
hallways.
can't remember.
There are pipes and things running along the top that you were using previously. And there are pipes running into the airlock, one of which must take oxygen to pressurize said airlock.
Excellent.
So if you want to take a quick shot, or even just a shot, at one of those pipes, and you hit it, I will then randomize whether or not it's the oxygen pipe.
Next question. Can I take that shot while also making a radio conversation?
Yeah, combat rounds in this are 10 to 20 seconds. So a short conversation or a short speech is quite acceptable, and I will allow that as a free action. I won't charge you an AP for that, unless it's something particularly intense. If, for example, you want to explain to somebody exactly how to open a combination locked door, something like that, that would cost an AP because of the amount of concentration on it.
Okay, here's what I want to say. You tell me whether it costs me an AP or not.
Fair enough?
Ruya, grab the cat. I need an emergency exit 4 meters after our entry point.
Okay, I don't think that will take too much concentration. I think you can do that as a free action.
In which case, I'm going to take a snapshot of the pipe.
Okay. Right, so that means I need to look up what the difference is on a snapshot. A
Shahad?
quick shot is...
I'm praying for luck.
Right, a quick shot is rolled at -2.
That's a point, actually. I know we've been using my connection to the icons. But what does anybody else do?
The different icon talents do different things indeed. So Shahad, for example, is Farouk's lucky charm. His icon talent affects the ship rather than
Yeah,
us.
so if the coffee machine doesn't work or the coin gets swallowed by the machine where I wanted to have my coffee, then I can pray to the icon to make it work.
It's not quite the way it works, but
Right, okay.
yes, that was it.
Sorry to interrupt, it's just
Yeah,
I brought mine up specifically because it's weird shit, so I thought it was worth covering, and also just in case there was anything that might help you in this situation.
Yes, indeed. You can choose once per. Is it once per session or once per scenario? I think it's
Once per session.
Per session.
Yeah.
Knight can indeed choose to make a critical hit. The thing with Shahad's deckhand's talent is that he can restore either hull or energy points on the ship should they drop to 0 instantly. So at a point where the ship should fall apart and stop working, just because he's on board, it doesn't. You get a little bit longer. So relevant actually if the space station takes damage while you're still on board. If the space station could stay alive long enough for you to get out if it explodes while you're still here, theoretically.
Which, now that I'm trying to punch holes in it, is a distinct possibility.
It's more likely, yeah.
And I'm hoping that my comms to Ruya, A, was sufficiently clear that she picked up what it was I was intending, but B, sufficiently vague that the plants don't have a chuffing clue.
Okay, so
I need to shoot these.
you need to roll ranged combat with a -2 modifier. So you can drop the -2 into the modifier box down in the bottom.
So I'm actually only at -1 with my targeting scope.
Ah yes, targeting scope.
So, modifier box is that, and I go -1, and I am rolling ranged combat, which is there. For crying out loud.
Not a lot of 6s there, like none.
There are 6 dice. One of them, by statistics,
Should have been a 6, yeah. We know statistics don't work. Last session you got 27 dice in a row without a single 6.
Can you, for a darkness point, reroll in combat?
Yes, you can indeed.
He's already got 5. Really, is one more going to?
In fact, he can pray to the correct
I gave him
icon.
Ooh.
Because ranged combat is governed by the judge, under whose sign Farouk was born. So you could indeed snap off a quick prayer to the judge as you make this shot, which will let you re-roll that now and give me a darkness point.
But will give you a darkness point to do so.
Yes, it will. It'll put me up to 5 darkness points.
Yes.
Oh no, I've got 5 darkness points. It'll put me up to 6 darkness points.
Yes, you had 4. I gave you 1 for manipulating
Judge.
reality.
God of my life, God of my light, guide this fucking bullet.
High X.
Make the roll.
It's still at -1, isn't it?
It is indeed. It's exactly the same as the previous roll, basically. Don't make it exactly the same as the previous roll. 'Cause
Whoa!
Right. Okay.
Three
So,
sixes. Can I hit the right one?
quick
You
Quick,
can hit every one of them in
quick
succession.
recap
Bang, bang,
on
bang.
the game system here, which is that you're looking for 6s. No other roll counts. 1 6 is a limited success. 3 6s is a critical success. That's 4 6s straight off. So
Oh,
your
shit, I didn't
first
see one.
6,
Yes!
I saw the
your
6.
first 6 hits. What do you want to do with the other 3 6s, essentially?
depends on what is in pipe.
Let me just give you the bonus effects for ranged combat, plus we're going to play a little bit fast and loose because of what you were attempting to do here. There are additional things you could spend it on. So firstly, each 6 could be spent for an extra point of damage. Secondly, a 6 can be spent to inflict a critical injury on your enemy. So I say a 6, it's actually a number of 6s equal to your weapon's crit rating. So let me just quickly look that up. In this case, I would say that a critical, the equivalent to a critical wound here, is getting exactly the effect that you're looking for out of this pipe. At the moment, we're still rolling randomly to determine whether it's the right pipe. I've got to decide how many 6s I want to charge you if you want to guarantee the right pipe. So this was an accelerator pistol?
Accelerator pistol.
Okay, so an accelerator pistol only needs 1 6 for a critical. So 1 to hit, 1 to crit, and I was thinking maybe 2 to guarantee the right pipe would be 4 successes, 4 6s.
I'll take that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you let rip with your accelerator pistol, and it does exactly what it is meant to do. That's going to be a bit big, I won't use that one. I've got a better one somewhere. That's not quite what I anticipated. Let's try that.
Okay, that was weird.
None of these sounds are doing what I really want them to do, unfortunately, at the moment. So I'll just go with one that's completely unreasonable and inapplicable. That's way too much. But it is essentially what you get.
There. Bye.
Yay.
So yeah, there is a small explosion and gout of flame as you shoot not just through the oxygen pipe, but also through obviously some cabling which causes a spark at the same time.
Oh my god!
Small jet of flame, unhappy situation, unhappy pipe. The airlock door has unfortunately now slightly buckled in one corner and is no longer airtight, but I don't think you're going to be that worried about that, are you?
We're not. We're in a spacesuit. The plants might not like it.
Well, the plants are... We already know the plants can survive vacuum, but you don't know about the humanoid plant monster things, the plant zombies. One effect of the airlock door buckling is that the airlock, which was currently... No, it was oxygenated, rather. It was pressurised. I was thinking the airlock wasn't pressurised, but you didn't depressurise it.
Correct.
So
we thought we might need to make a fast exit.
Yeah, so that won't happen after all. I was thinking of air being sucked into the airlock, but that's not actually going to happen. Nevertheless, this is an interesting situation that has slightly disturbed our friend on the wall there.
Which was largely the intent.
Took your shot. Initiative order is always a bit fast and loose in any game. It's never everyone completes their action then the next person does theirs. So he's still manoeuvring into position at the point that this goes off behind him. And he loses his footing. You've now got the short, stocky blocker or goalie one, rather than in position to block on the wall. He's sort of dangling off the wall by 1 foot and desperately trying to scrabble his way back towards the wall. That is going to take him at least 1 AP to recover from in his next round.
Excellent.
And I still have 1 AP left.
And you still have an AP
That was
left,
a
yes.
snapshot.
That was indeed.
Oh god. What the hell are you going to do next?
Shoot his foot off.
Fair play.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
So this is going to be another snapshot. So again, you'll be rolling at -2 +1 for the targeting scope for a net -1. I'm going to impose another -1 for the fact that you're specifically aiming for his foot.
That's fair.
Yay.
To be honest, I don't mind if I don't make this shot because this is a bonus.
Yeah. This would be really cool if you can land it like that.
Like that.
If you're going to do a thing, do it properly.
So that again is, I think, going to be 2 damage, but let me just check. Accelerator pistol, 2 damage, yep. And I'm going to say that that is enough. You don't actually take his foot off, but you aimed neatly at the point where his foot joins the wall, and bits of desiccated flesh, bits of bone and bits of plant are sprayed out in a small cloud as he gives up his hold on the wall completely and drifts into the middle of the corridor in his 0G.
That's brilliant. I love it.
That is very cool.
Fantastic. Well done. I thought I was doing well, but well played, sir.
Right, so that's the end of that round then, and we cycle back to Shahad.
Oh God, that was round 1.
That was round 1, yeah.
Holy hellfire.
So, Shahad, you are being held by this creature. It didn't like you shooting it in the head, but it doesn't seem to have slowed it down just yet. And the other one you can see drifting off behind it, slowly and rather irately. What are you going to do?
How much of me does it have grabbed by now? An arm on the shoulder? Because it doesn't.
I'm going to say that its right hand is grabbing your arm and its left hand has grabbed your shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't have the APs to spend to get any better hold on you yet.
Since it doesn't say anything, here's the problem. I will have trouble getting free from it. Where is the explosion part happening?
The
Behind me or in front of me? Or
the explosion is in front of you, behind it, and on the right-hand side of the
I'm facing
corridor.
the explosion.
Yeah,
Yes.
so it's kind of diagonally across the corridor from you, about maybe half a meter, 3/4 of a meter ahead.
Is there still fire? Or was it a one-time explosion?
After the initial gout of flame, I don't think there's going to be any more at the moment. But you are reasonably sure that there is a stream of oxygen. You can see sort of the leaves fluttering. So as far as you can tell, although there's no fire there at the moment, there is concentrated oxygen coming out of that pipe, which is highly flammable if you want to.
And you do know that Farouk has a custom-built flamer.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Firing that into an oxygen-rich atmosphere could be interesting.
Yes.
We understand very different things by the term interesting.
Former terrorist, what can you say?
I didn't say good.
What, freedom fighter terrorist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Depends on which side of the table you're standing.
I guess I do have the small jets on my suit as well.
You do indeed, yes. You've got some manoeuvring thrusters. We established this earlier.
Mm-hmm. Well, then it's time to lift the whole thing with me.
Okay.
Because if I have the boost, more or less, to take it off the ground, because one of those are just
you're in
flying
zero
past me,
gravity,
like,
so-
and I have the other one.
The only thing you have got to do is, because it's effectively stuck to the wall, I will require a strength check to actually get it free. which that didn't do. So, unless you want to pray to the icons for a reroll, what's going to happen there is that you will push away from the wall, activate your maneuvering jets, and because it manages to retain its grip with its feet on the wall and its grip with its hands on you, rather than moving wholesale across the corridor, you'll kind of flip around it as it almost swings you from the wall.
That's very good. So I gain traction. So I take the actual move.
Okay.
Because the further I move, the more it needs to twist on the floor.
Yeah,
It
it
needs
is
to
indeed.
move after me.
It's still holding on to you and still attached to the wall, but it's at a really awkward angle now because it's kind of twisted round to try and keep its grip on you.
Mm-hmm.
And your feet are right next to where the explosion, where the jet of flame would be if it was still flamed. So you don't really want to ignite that right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to unscrew it from the wall.
Sounds like it.
So I'm going to
The
call
more I
that.
can get to the back of it, I mean, it holds me stable. That's nice. So if I swing down and get actually on the side of its hip, then it has me on it. So closing my legs around it. That's plant love. Yes, I'm a tree hugger. Then,
I'm not judging, mate.
yeah,
I've made the joke twice. I'm done on that one for now.
yep. I'm going to put
Okay.
in another check of strength to twist an arm.
Yeah. And that time you have got a success.
Mm-hmm. I want that arm out of the shoulder. It's not enough successes to detach it.
1-6 is not going to remove it from the shoulder, unfortunately.
No. But with this arm, it's going to have
We'll
trouble
do some more
keeping me
damage to it,
grabbed
though.
at any.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am going to say it's definitely... you've reversed the grip, essentially. It's no longer grappling you. You're now grappling it.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So that move has pulled its grip free of you, and but you've still got a grip on its shoulder. I mean, one of its hands is technically still holding your arm, but not in any kind of strong grip that it can really do anything with.
And since I'm now lower because I sunk down on it, I'm gonna. Well, I still have my weapon. I'm gonna aim now for under because I'm here. Second try.
Okay. Again, because you're in melee you're grappling
Yes.
it at the
Now
moment.
I'm definitely in melee.
I'm going to call this melee combat rather than ranged combat, because this is essentially you're using it more like a knife that you have to pull the trigger to stab with than anything.
So we're into the realms of gun flu now.
Yes.
Definitely into the realms of gun flu now. And unfortunately, that's not going to do anything. You missed.
Okay.
And not only did you miss,
Oh, counterattack.
I'm spending a darkness point at this stage.
Oh, that's mean.
We have given him a fair few.
Well, yeah.
And as you fire off your gun slightly out of line and fail to hit it,
Mhm.
there is a click as the reload mechanism jams. It'll only be a simple action to clear the jam, but at the moment you can't fire the gun again until you have done so. So that's going to be the end of Shahad's turn.
Uh-huh.
So we're back to plant creatures.
Okay.
So again, let's flip downstairs first and see what is happening down there.
Complete chaos, possibly with the Benny Hill music.
The blocker, having smacked the cage door into Zeynep's face a moment ago, is now trying to do pretty much exactly the opposite. It's pulling the cage back towards itself and trying to twist it. It looks like it's trying to twist it round and pin you against the wall.
Yeah, no.
So we're going to call that a melee combat roll. Again, you can have a choice. You can either use melee combat to try and essentially control this, so it goes where you want it to go rather than where he wants it to go. Or you can use dexterity to simply get clear of the thing before it hits.
Right, I don't have melee combat. Is that just agility?
That would be on strength, unfortunately.
Oh, you sure I can't have it on agility? Please?
Yes. In some circumstances I would say, okay, then you can roll it on agility instead. But this is basically brute strength of two people wrestling over a door. That's going to be strength. Doesn't matter how many times you do the Princess Diana eyes. It's still going to be strength.
It's worth a try. Okay, in that case, I'm going to go with dexterity.
Okie dokie.
He's coming over. So basically, yeah, he is attempting to overwhelm me, literally.
Yeah.
So if he's coming over me, can I basically push the gate over my head so it sends me in the opposite direction? Sliding along the floor. Or sliding in the direction of my feet.
So you want to sort of flip out and use the momentum from the gate as he tries to slam you up against a wall with it to skid off in a different direction.
Yeah, I mean, if I do it past him, then bonus time, but, you know, away from him would be a good start.
Okay, I will probably allow that. This is going to be an opposed roll of your dexterity against his melee combat to see what happens.
So I'm not going to win against anybody in a strength contest. I'm pushing it on dexterity.
Bear in mind who's rolling the dice on this side. Although in this case, actually, to make a nice change, they worked.
I'm very, very, very breakable. Let's put it that way. I am concerned. I'm sorry, guys. I'm gonna give him a darkness point.
That's okay. I think we've all done it.
Yeah.
Re-roll those dice.
Yes,
and
success.
There's a 6.
Phew.
Okay, so you both got a 6 here. So what is going to happen is he is going to slam the gate against the wall because your actions weren't going to prevent him from doing that.
No,
so
I wasn't trying to stop him.
He has effectively got his success there, but he hasn't managed to hit you. You have wriggled out of the way, but you did so in such a manner that you lost any benefit from the momentum. So you you just got out of the way, but are still here.
Okay.
The 6s cancel out. Neither of you really achieved anything.
Okay. To be honest, I can deal with that.
That's going to have been 2 of his action points to do that.
Okay.
I'm going to call that a standard attack. And yeah, what the heck? He's going to make a quick melee attack as you wriggle out of the way. He's going to use his remaining action point to try and make a snap kick against you as you get out of the way of the cage.
Right.
So he is rolling melee combat at -2. You will have spent an action point on the defense you've already made.
Yep.
It will be an action point again to defend against this one. And again, that will be either on melee combat or dexterity, since we're allowing dexterity to
For the
resist such
acrobatics end
things.
of things.
Yeah.
Okay. Wriggled free.
He is at -2 on this one because it's a quick attack. And bear in mind also that if you defend on melee combat, you don't have to use any 6s to defend. If you defend using dexterity, I'm not saying don't defend using dexterity, just making it clear. If you defend using dexterity, really improving your initiative is about the only thing you can get out
Yeah.
of it. If you defend using melee combat and he misses you with his -2 penalty, you can still use any 6s for things like counter-attacks or disarming. Now, disarming in this case would just be to get the cage door out of his hands. But you could potentially make a counter-attack and deliver some damage.
I'm going to have a go with my strength because I'm sucky as it is.
Okie dokie. So, his melee combat versus your strength.
No!
That was a bad time to roll 4s.
So fishy.
So drudgy.
How many darkness points?
How many darkness points do you have at the moment?
At the moment, I've got 6. Because I spent one jamming Meki's gun.
You know, 7 is a lucky number.
Lucky for who? Precisely.
I am very breakable. I am very, very breakable.
Okay, so the breakable drat gives me more darkness to break her with.
Phew.
Okay.
Worked out.
Okay,
Yeah.
right, so he got 2 6s.
He's
So
a bastard.
you are getting kicked one way or another. The decision
Being
you have
kicked
to
in zero
make.
gravity.
Yeah, the decision you have to make now
Yeah.
is what are you going to use your 6 for? You can decrease damage.
Mhm.
So
How much is he doing?
you can. He will be doing well. I'll tell you, he's got a base damage of 2, so he's doing 2
Right.
damage just for the kick. He's got an extra 6.
Right.
He could either increase damage or get a critical out of that if he wanted to.
Yeah, if he does that, I'm dead. Literally.
You can spend your 6 to counteract one of his 6s, so he can only do his base damage if that's
that's
what you want to
boring.
do. Or you can counterattack, or you can get the gate out of his hands, or you can raise
Kicking
your
at me, yeah.
initiative and be wounded, but really quick.
You see, I've got 4 hit points left.
Yes, you are quite breakable, aren't you?
Yes, I'm very breakable. Of all the people who really need to be in hand-to-hand combat, not me. It's as good a situation as any. Good a call as any. So, kicking at me.
Kicking at you, yeah. You've effectively slid down underneath the gate. I mean, up and down are slightly relative at the moment
Yeah,
in zero gravity,
it's
but
a
you've
relative
effectively
thing.
slid under the gate as it's come over the top of you, trying to slam you into a wall. And as you've gone underneath it, that's put you within range of a kick from him.
Mhm.
Nothing spectacular, just a simple lashing out with his foot as he realises where you are.
Yeah, but the trouble is, he's done it properly, and as I said, I'm frangible. I'm gonna have to use my 6 to negate one of his damage dice.
Okay, in which
Or,
case...
negate part of his damage.
He's hitting you for 2 hit points, but no other effect.
Yeah.
He can't get a critical. I don't yet get to roll on those lovely critical tables that we haven't used yet.
Yeah, don't worry, I'm currently on 2 HP.
I say tables, it's actually one big critical table. It is kind of fun. It does include broken neck, stuff like that.
Yeah, really?
Yeah,
sounds fun.
Great.
Yes, it's a D66 roll.
Do our suits not suck up any damage?
Do your suits not suck up any
wondering
damage? That is a very good point.
Because
That is
I got
true.
grabbed and
Get armor
got 2
from-
damage out of it.
The suits.
Yeah.
From a bulky suit.
They're not that bulky. As I remember, they're vaguely sort of skin tight pressure suits.
Yeah, I mean, they are precious, so they're not the most armoured of things, but let me check.
That's alright.
I really should remember.
I'm hoping he's managed to catch the bloody lab on my back.
Oh my god, your blood samples are smashed.
Yeah. I'll live. Maybe. Unfortunately, I think my best bet at this stage is essentially to bug out and abandon the security bod to her own devices. Whether you're on your own, have fun.
I am going to say no, because I have been consistently all the way through this forgetting that your exoshells should give you a -2 to dexterity. So what I'm going to do is I am going to say that the ones you've got are more lightweight and less cumbersome. Don't give you the -2 to dexterity, but also don't give you the 2 points of armor that they would otherwise give you.
That's actually a fair trade-off.
What are the odds of him having hit the backpack lab I've got? Just I know I'm reaching.
There's a bit of a flippy pit stop going on there, isn't there?
No, he has not hit the backpack lab.
Bastard.
I'm not going to allow that one. I'm sorry.
No, you're not. You're still miffed I took your arm off in that Witcher thing.
I am, however, going to spend one of these darkness points right now.
Oh, good, because my day wasn't bad enough.
It's not at you.
Because as you flinch from this foot, crashing into your upper thigh, missing the knee, fortunately, which could have been disastrous for you, but you didn't get a critical. As you're staring up in disgust at this creature that has kicked you, you see new growth from the vines wrapped around its body. Where you did damage with the gate, new growth is filling those gaps, even as you watch.
Right. That's fine. I'm just wondering if I can use this gate as a grater.
Oh, I thought
Or possibly... or I have fond memories of helping my grandmother with string beans. I'm just wondering, straight over the top.
Oh god, it's gonna be faceless, but still fighting you.
Yep.
The other one, meanwhile, is not coming back towards you, having missed you. It's going to spend a full round, pretty much, grabbing hold of a wall or ceiling and restabilizing itself. But it's orientated towards the reactor and your bomb-equipped companion, Tash.
Oh, shit. This yelling counter... Oh, no, she can't hear me. Shit. She's not on our comms. Oh, what are the odds of her hearing me if I yell?
You'll be muffled because of the suit that you are wearing. But there is air here, which will carry sound.
Yeah.
The odds of her hearing if you yell are far higher than her hearing if you don't.
I would say that the odds on her hearing you ripping a gate door clear of its cage and hurling it and you across a room were higher than her hearing you yell.
Fair enough.
Yeah, there's a chance she's aware something's going down.
Yeah. For all I know, she's dealing with it on her own as well.
And
That's what I can do.
while you're deciding what you're going to do, we will jump up and see what the plant beasties are doing to Shahad and Farouk. So, Plant Beastie 1. The one no longer really grappling Shahad, to be honest, now being grappled by Shahad.
Nice reverse.
Why won't you die?
Notched.
I don't think you can choke out a plant.
It's got a really cool special attack, and it's going to have to use it because it really doesn't know any better. So I'm spending a darkness point, but it's not going to do any good whatsoever. It twists in your grip, the desiccated jaws open, and it spits a stream of spores straight into your face. Unfortunately, you're wearing a vacuum suit and a closed system, so all it will do is slightly obscure your vision.
And you've been whinging every single time we said, no, we're not taking our helmets off.
Yeah, I knew I had that to use. I wanted you to take your helmets off.
Aren't you taking your helmets off? It's all completely safe. No.
No, keep the helmet on.
I've hit you, and I'm staying there.
Can I spit back? I mean, it wouldn't do anything because I have a helmet on, but just for the...
Oh, God, that's just messy.
So yeah, that's going to be 2 of its action points and 1 of my darkness points for no effect whatsoever. But really, it's logical. It has to do it. It doesn't know any better.
I do hope as a free action you get sort of wipe an eye and a smile in your mask.
No, I'm going to be mean. That would be a quick action, I'm afraid.
Chrono, I have something. That's exactly what it does, a spiralizer.
It's a perfect tool for dealing with these creatures.
Because that's how I like my zucchini, as spaghetti.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Best way to go.
Right. The other one. I think the other one is going to have to make a dexterity, not dexterity, it doesn't have dexterity, but it's going to have to make an agility check to try and find a wall. And it fails. So it is going to find a wall, it is going to get its grip, but because it failed, it's going to take all 3 of its action points to do it. So it just scrabbles around a bit and eventually manages to hook a hand onto one of the pipes and pull itself up to the wall.
Yay.
Excellent.
If a plant zombie could look put upon, it would look put upon.
So, Fish, if I understood the melee in front of me correctly, Jihad is now the other side of the plant person to me.
Oh, no.
You have a clear shot at that plant monster.
Clear shot at its head.
Yep. However, first we have Zeynep, so let's just scene change back to engineering.
No, you feel free and carry on with what they're doing, because to be brutally honest, I'm not a
Right, you're on the ground underneath what appears to be a completely hale and hearty plant monster.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. One thing I will do up top is I will just spend another darkness point before, so this is already well established. When we come back to you, out of the corner of your eye you can see, although Shahad can't see it because it's behind him, that new plant growth is replacing the foot.
The guy that I shot.
Yeah.
And sent spiralling down the corridor to the back wall.
Indeed. So yeah, Zeynep, you're basically lying on the floor, on your back, underneath a perfectly hale and hearty plant monster, and within arm's reach, but not currently holding a large gate that it is holding.
Yeah.
But where is the exit relative to you?
Oddly enough, that was what I was about to ask.
It's not,
because it walked here on the new growth.
Yeah, you're lying on the vines on the new growth here. It's no longer blocking your route. You're kind of level with it, so it's not a case of you're past it, you can now run off. But it is indeed no longer blocking your path. You've got a free run there. If it had an action point, it could make an opportunity attack when you try to scrabble out. But guess who used all his action points because he wanted to get that snap kick in?
I'm just wondering, I'm lying on the new growth. How big a patch of new growth is it? Is it basically almost like rails with a few leaves either
No,
side?
it's spread out like a rug. There's a large. Think of it as being a large rug just inside where the elevator doors would be, but made of plant.
Right.
And all
So
nice,
if-
fresh, young green shoots and leaves.
So if, for example,
It'd be great in a salad.
and we're back on the spiralizer. I'm just wondering, how thin is the edge of the gate?
How thin is the edge of the gate? Couple of centimeters.
Right.
The mesh on the
Oh.
gate itself is quite thin, but it's got a frame, of course, around it.
Yeah. I'm just thinking the gate that he's holding is probably long enough that were it shoved directly downwards, there'd be a fair chance of severing some vines on the floor.
Trying to separate it from Mummy.
But I only have 1 point left.
And he's got the gate.
And he's holding the gate. Now, the thing is, I don't want to try and pull the gate out of his hands. That's ridiculous. Because I am a strange little weedy person who it is pointless actually engaging in a arm wrestling match with. However, he just completely failed to bring the gate down on me. But the gate was being brought down.
He slammed it up against the wall, basically.
Yeah.
Rather than the floor.
Oh, okay. So I am just wondering about if I grabbed the top of the gate and pushed myself up and it's down at the same time.
The top of the gate is in the wrong direction from you because
Damn,
you basically
okay.
slid out from underneath
Yeah,
it. So
okay.
the top of the gate is the far side of the gate to you.
Okay. Right, so I can't do that. That's a bugger. See, my alternate plan was to grab a handful of the new vines and kick upwards. And just see what I could rip
I
up.
mean, if you want to leave Tash to her fate, your simplest option at this point is you do have a clear path, one action point
I do,
to get
I
you
know.
to the elevator shaft.
But I don't particularly want to abandon her, though psychotic and strange that she is. She's psychotic, strange, and still here because I largely argued with her. So I feel kind of responsible.
Well, she was going to blow up the space station without bothering to get off it. So, any efforts that you make to remove her from the station before the explosion is still a plus. Ouch. And we've apparently lost Drut sound.
We're having some really troublesome gremlins on the audio front tonight.
Yeah, we are.
But nothing we couldn't fix until now. So.
True.
Tilt, 1, 2, 3.
Yep.
Ah,
yep.
we have
yep.
sound.
I opened the settings.
Oh,
On
that's
VC.
foolish.
Maybe it has
No,
fallen
literally,
asleep.
that's how I fixed it. All I did was I opened,
Just open the
VC
settings. Oh, right, okay.
I don't know if VC,
VC
has
since-
a timeout.
Since, I don't know if it's necessarily the most recent update, but since the update where it changed all of the GUI has been
Yeah.
far less reliable for me,
Yes.
which is
very much
really
so.
annoying because it's been great up until now.
Yeah.
The really annoying thing is if it continues to be unreliable and we do have to stop using it, I've not found another option that will work as well for us.
Mhm.
Do we know
Lose
what-
Quite,
Do we know
quite a
what
bit.
AEC stands for in audio components?
Not off the top of
Because
my
under the
head.
advanced microphone settings, I've got AEC ticked, and the other options are stethoscope and AECM.
I mean, I would maybe guess at automatic and something compensation or something.
Yeah.
But...
Okay, I'm unchecking
Echo
it.
cancellation.
Oh, echo cancellation. Right, of course.
Okay, well I've unticked it, so what the hell? We shall
See
see.
what that does. Fair enough.
I don't know if that will make any difference. The only thing I can think of is that, potentially if it's not picking up on sound regularly enough, it's turning my mic off to save power or something. But it just seems bizarre.
Yeah, it may just be a setting somewhere that either Windows or VC has changed and you haven't identified yet.
Yep, good luck with me. So anyway, I'll run with that switched off now and see. I take it I still am coming through okay.
Yes,
Yep,
you are
perfectly
fine, yeah.
fine.
Cool,
Except
cool.
when you're not there at all.
Right, yeah, I am then, yes, going to go the dexterity route. I am going to, with both hands, grab as much of this carpet as I can.
Mm-hmm.
And I am going to kick off the deck, so I head upwards, and I am going to try and rip up
So you're
as
going to try
much.
and just rip some of this clear.
Is
Yeah.
one of those sort of cartoon, grab one end and just do a wave motion
That's
with
the
it.
sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Going to see whether she can pull the carpet of leaves out from underneath it and leave the thing standing.
Hey, if I could manage that, that would be ideal.
Okay, so this is unfortunately going to be a strength check
Of course it freaking is.
because you've got to break its grip on the floor, essentially. It can't get
plating,
roots.
what's it using?
Yeah, it can't get roots into the plating, but up this close, you can see that what it's got is it's got a fine network
Yeah.
of root-like material that is adhering to the surface.
I've pulled ivy off enough glass. I know
that's
that it
exactly
works.
what you're looking at. It's just like
Yeah.
I hate
Bastards.
Ivy.
Yes.
You'll be pleased to know I'm
Bindweed,
down to
that's
4 darkness points, regenerating these bastards.
Oh, I've got 2 strength. Give it a minute.
Anticipated giving me another one, are you?
Yeah. Oh
Ooh,
dear God,
Look
yes.
at that.
Wow, she got
Yeah.
entangled and can't free herself ever again.
Don't even joke about it.
Don't-
One has got darkness points. Please don't joke about
I
it.
don't think this game has critical fails, which is a good...
You've got a really cute cat, by the way. Have I mentioned that? This Pippin's absolutely adorable, but I think you ought to go and check what he's doing. Because he's looking hungrily towards your TV, as far as I can tell. That's, yeah.
The cat that ate the television.
Right, okay, quick reroll.
Unfortunately, I am going to spend a darkness point at this stage.
I
Because
take it I can't
seems
reroll.
appropriate. You can re-roll, but I'm spending the darkness point for this
Okay.
either way.
Hang on to that darkness point, and I'll replace it immediately with this one.
Okay.
Oh, for fuck's
how
sake!
did you manage to get double one twice?
I
Snake
apologise
eyes
for the
followed by
swearing.
snake eyes.
But
So,
come on!
You grab a double handful of plant matter. You brace yourself. You kick off, and you rise gently from the floor in the way of 0 gravity, and then just snap to a halt, flipping slightly as a result. As not only have you not torn the plant matter from the floor, but
Yeah.
again you see new growth as it sprouts tendrils around your fingers.
Not
you
taking
are-
my gloves off, don't care!
You are now
Anchored to
actually
it.
anchored to the floor. Your hands are essentially glued to the floor until you can make a force check to pull yourself clear, which is what you were just attempting to do to
Yeah.
it, but just for the purpose of
Well,
freeing yourself.
Shit.
And that was your last action point. So
I have a feeling that the other 2, who are of course on comms with me at this point, probably don't realise that Zainab knew these words.
Yeah, you had no idea Zainab knew such words.
Yeah.
So, up top, Farouk.
Yes.
Clear line of fire at this monster.
Learn on a fire, taking all 3 action points to take this shot. Because I'm making a cool shot on its head.
Right. So, an
Whilst I
aimed
don't
shot.
make sure that a desiccated corpse animated by plants losing its head would make any difference, that's as logical as anything else.
Okay. So yeah, an aimed shot gives you +2 to your attack roll. I think although it is an aimed shot at the head, for this instance I'm not going to apply a penalty for that. I'm instead just going to sort of tweak things as we go forward from here based on what you roll. So you're rolling at +2, +1 for the targeting scope means you're effectively at +3 for this shot.
And it's not going to do the plus. Because it's just naturally 3. I don't have to hit the plus sign. Okay. Ranged combat at +3. Please, dear God, give me a 6. Because that's a shitload
Yes.
of dice.
1.
Yeah, but 1 out of all those dice, one
come on.
single solitary 6.
One
Can I
more than
invoke
I
my
got.
prayer from the judge to make it a critical?
Yes, you can indeed invoke your prayer from the judge to make it a critical. And because you specifically aimed for the head, it will be a head type of critical.
That does unfortunately give you a darkness point, but
It
I
does
figure
give me a
it's worth
darkness
it
point.
to make it a head critical die.
So let's have a look. What I'm going to do, because you didn't do very well, and because I didn't give you a penalty for the headshot, rather than rolling, I'm just going to read down and basically pick the first relevant head critical from the chart, and I will give you that one. So it'll be the weakest head critical, but it will be a head critical. And that's going to be a concussion.
I'm familiar with those.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
So that is non-fatal according to this. You'll be pleased to know that your concussion wasn't fatal.
I'm glad.
And it will be stunned for 1 turn, and then take a -1 to all advanced skills. So, for example, melee combat, I believe is actually no, melee combat may be a basic skill rather than an advanced skill. But
I am
let's
hoping there's some regular damage as well as the criticals.
make a note of that. Concussion. And indeed, bits of desiccated flesh and plant life are blown clear by your shot. I just need to quickly check something. I may have been handling something wrong, and I just want to check whether I in fact have.
Oopsie.
I have
How
a
big
feeling
is the
that I
hole in
have.
the head of the creature? Because it should have 2 now.
That's a point.
Yep, I was absolutely right. I have been handling it wrong. So
Well,
let's.
think you
I
have
know how this comes
gone
out.
through the
though.
cheek. Where did you go through?
So
The other cheek. Oh, it looks like Pikachu. Woo! Oh, you rolled something. No, no.
nothing there. And
No,
then
oddly
this
enough, is where I
one.
am at the moment.
Right, okay, so having remembered that in fact armour is not a set thing in this game, but is, as it is in some other games, it's you roll that many dice to see if you can soak some damage. I've just failed to soak any of the damage this thing has taken as yet.
Excellent.
Just gone back and retroactively added back in the damage I had taken off the armour because it didn't get any armour. It's a very unhappy plant monster at this stage.
Oh, diddums, my heart bleeds.
Mm.
So does my head.
Whereas it just leaves desiccated flesh.
I know.
The 2 that
That's just
regenerated,
rude.
however, regenerated all the damage that they have regenerated, so that's not relevant for them. But yeah, this one, the grapply one, you have blown off roughly half its head with that shot. There's quite a lot of bits of head floating around, and it's not looking very happy right now.
Yuck.
Which is my way of saying you've nearly killed it.
I'm hoping she had to finish it off.
Right, and that's going to bring us round to a new round of combat.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Just out of interest, have
And
you had any response from Ruya yet?
it's only been 30 seconds.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, I'm still wondering how on the ball she is.
Yeah.
And no,
So-
I didn't miraculously remember her name. I have her name written down, along with
Written
the fact
down.
that she's female, and that she's the gunner and the co-pilot.
That's alright. I keep hearing Rullier.
Zebo's the engineer, who I'm
Yeah,
thinking
Zebo
the
is
one that's been
indeed the
operating
engineer.
the Bucky cable.
Yes, I could only remember Zebo personally. I had completely forgotten Ruya, but yes, Ruya Galab.
Yeah, I wrote it down so that I couldn't forget, or if I did forget, I had it
Oh,
written.
and my sound's just gone funky again.
Sounds fine
so
to
I've
me.
got
It does
no
sound
idea
fine
what
from
you
our end.
just- Hang on a
Everything is
moment.
gorgeous.
Can you hear us?
Everything is awesome.
And we're back with sound.
Welcome back.
I
What's
don't know
that?
why. It's only when, specifically, actually, when maybe VC. It seems only to be when I'm doing role-playing streams that I have to keep restarting my audio engine. It's a bit weird. It's annoying because these are the things that I specifically want that virtual mixer for. Okay. Well, that is a very good point that I had completely forgotten about. Let me just double check something. Apologies for the fact that this is running quite slowly. Partly not knowing the game and partly too long a gap between sessions, which really doesn't help.
Sorry.
But there's just, IRL gets in the way. These things happen.
Yeah. And with hindsight, I absolutely didn't have a suitable internet last Sunday. Plus babies were involved.
So yeah, just to remind you that you do still have, of course, your group Truth Seekers talent, which can be used once per session for the whole group. And that
Mind what it
lets you
does, yeah.
that lets you find an important piece of information or get a clue from the GM without rolling any dice. The information must be important enough to enable you to overcome a minor obstacle or challenge in the scenario. It costs you a
Must add
darkness
one
point, and it can be used once per session as a group. So, not hugely relevant in combat, although there is the possibility, of course, that you could use it to gain something like an insight into weaknesses, that sort of thing.
Would say, for example, I mean, I know I'm not there, but this is just hypothetical. Working out that they are centralized, that these vines are centralized,
Whew.
be a thing.
Well, I don't think really you can tell me what clue I'm going to give you,
No.
because
No,
you don't know
trying
it
to
by
work out, yeah.
definition.
Okay, trying to work out if such
So
a thing.
trying to get an insight into
Yeah,
the way in
into the
which the creatures and the vines
are
tie
controlled,
together,
yeah.
and whether there is some weakness that you can exploit there.
Yeah. Sorry, I knew what I wanted to query. It's just I was kind of working my way around the pretty route to get there. Sorry.
I think on this one I am going to say don't waste your darkness point.
Okay.
I don't think that the information you would get from this would really be of any use to you.
Okay then.
So, we are back to Shahad and the start of a new round, but before Shahad actually does anything, one other thing will happen kind of end of the last round, beginning of this round, out of initiative sequence, essentially. Which is that the Tannoy system will kick back in again.
Oh, good.
And the same voice that you
Missed
same female voice that you heard earlier on, but speaking in a somewhat higher register than she was earlier, and certainly with more volume than she was earlier, comes across to Tannoy saying, "You can't do this. You can't stop us."
Do I
That's
get
going
that
to be
down?
about it for that round. Yeah, that's across the whole
That's
station.
ship-wide.
Yeah. And that's going to be about it, I think, for the end of round 2. And then we will come to Shahad at the beginning of round 3. The plant monster that you are currently grappling only has half a head and looks like it might die if you sneezed too hard on it.
I won't sneeze on it because I still have my helmet on. But
You
yes,
can't see what the other one is doing behind you, unfortunately, because you're facing in the wrong direction. But it can't be threatening you too much, because otherwise Farouk would have shot at it rather than the one that you're holding.
Yeah.
So, that's pretty much your snap assessment of the current situation. What are you doing?
And since in cooperative work we managed to open the cookie jar, I'm going to for the cookies. I'm going inside there. Whatever I can grab in there needs to come out.
Okay, this is going to be a melee combat roll, I feel.
Yes.
I think I'm going to spend a darkness point so that it can defend against this, because I don't think it's going to be around afterwards. There doesn't seem much point holding on to its action points.
Yeah.
The weapon is of no use for me to do it, so I let go of this in the direction of.
I mean, if you just let go, it'll just float there because
Yeah.
you're in 0G.
Yeah.
Let's get the right one, which is
No.
that one, and the
Well-
one's melee combat. Okay, so yeah, that's going to be a fail unless you want to go praying to the icons.
You need darkness points to. Yeah.
Well, I just spent one to be allowed to defend against it, so getting that
Yeah.
back would be nice.
Could you tell me what I actually do with this roll? Because I have an open head right in front of me. And how does it defend against this? Does it raise the other arm?
So yeah,
It doesn't see anymore. Or?
it's if you don't re-roll,
Yep.
what is going to happen is that it's going to be able to counter-attack you. So it will effectively bring its other arm round and slam it into your head, or into the helmet of your suit.
No. I'm going to try. I'm going to give the darkness
It
point
will-
a try.
What can it do with it? Because it's got an extra 6 even beyond that. Let me just check what else it can do. I think it will probably use the other 6 that it has to also get its right hand free from your grip. So you'll end up getting punched in the face and no longer grappling it if you don't re-roll. If you do re-roll, then it has less options because it may need to use one or both of those 6s to counteract what you have done before it can use them for anything itself. Given a choice, it will punch you in the face though.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can fail a second time, so good luck. And almost 4 times.
Okay, so you. It's an awesome. I mean, that would be a fantastic die roll if you were rolling up a D&D character.
Yeah.
It would.
Not so great in a game that doesn't care about anything but 6s. But
There is a
so
60.
it is going to
Yeah.
cancel your 6, unfortunately. So effectively, you reach in and try and rip out its spinal column, essentially.
Yes.
But it shifts its position, and you just end up hitting its shoulder and not getting into the gap.
Okay, but that kind of blocked his attack as well, so we are in a stalemate again.
Well, unfortunately, it's still got 1 6 left over after doing that, so it's still going. It's not going to be using the other hand because the way it's manoeuvred to avoid you from hitting it, that other arm is out of reach. But what it will do is it will just, as it does this, drive forward with the hand that you've got grappled and slam it into your chest. So that's going to deliver 2 points of damage to you from that. Having done some Bartitsu, I can see in my head exactly what he's just done, because that's one of the 2 basic blows from bare knuckle boxing, pugilism, which is essentially the fist comes out like that and you lean back out of the way of what's coming in. It's essentially what it's just done, and smacked its hand into your chest in the process.
I'm really rubbish at that. My arms aren't long enough.
I can practice that really well. I couldn't ever do it in an actual fight, I don't think.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how far back I lean, everybody else has got longer arms.
So that cost me a darkness point to do that, and it's cost me an
But this
action
gives
point
me
to do that.
the opportunity, since it's not the end of my AP.
that-
So it actually pushes
hang on.
me
My sound
away.
has gone again.
Oh,
This is it. We kind
Yeah,
of need
but
an
this is-
indicator for when Fish's sound goes, because of course
Yeah.
it doesn't go
yeah,
for any of us.
like a stop
But
sign.
no,
or
this
so
is
to hold
this
on.
is the weird thing. It's going differently to the way it used to go, because it used to mess with my microphone as well. So you could hear when my sound had gone funky because I sounded like a Dalek to you. But it seems to have stopped doing that, and it just messes it up at my end now. For all I know, it doesn't even mess it up on stream. It could just be the
No.
headset. I don't know. I'll have to watch the stream back afterwards and find out. If it is just the headset, and I know it's just the headset in future, I can ignore it until a good point to reset the audio. Sounds
Apparently
like
it's
the
fine
sound
on
is fine on stream. Yeah, I think it is just coming through my headset that it goes weird, in which case next time I'll wait until a suitable opportunity and just put up with the crap sound in the meantime. So yeah, you have spent 2 APs for your attack.
Yes,
So you
and
have
since
got
it
1
punches
AP
me
left.
away, this is my opportunity to let go entirely, untangle
Yep,
my
okay,
legs,
that's-
and take a push backward.
That's your choice. If you wanted to remain grappling to it, you could still, because it didn't have an extra 6 to break the grapple. But yeah, if you want to let go and just use its momentum to move backwards, I'll let you do that as a free action. You've still
What
got AP left.
about its stun?
That's a good point. It was stunned.
Yes.
It had minus. Oh no, it was minus dice to advanced skills, not basic.
Yes, -1 to advanced skills, but I completely forgot that it was stunned. Well done for reminding me. Bad GM is bad.
Back to the spine.
All of a sudden, Shihad's going on Mortal Kombat.
Stunned. Okay.
Bam, 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 bam. Sorry.
Oh, bloody hell. Yeah, okay, right. Well, my darkness points will remain the same because you gave me an extra darkness point. So what happened is I didn't spend the darkness point to defend, which means that you didn't have to give me a darkness point back. So my darkness points still remain exactly the same. And it had no APs this round. That's what stunned does.
Oh.
So it couldn't defend against you. So, in fact, you did have to
it
reroll
doesn't
because
cancel
you
out my
got
6 as
nothing.
well.
So it doesn't cancel out your 6, but I did get an extra darkness point because I couldn't spend the one I thought I had spent. So, it's it fails to react because it is too stunned. It just hovers there, partially attached to the wall, as you reach down with your left hand, your free hand, in through the open side of the shattered skull. Grab hold of the top of its spinal column and literally just pull the spinal column up out of the top of the creature. It shudders, spasms slightly, and then stops moving completely.
Shahad, why did you just yell fatality?
Fatality.
I actually have something on my screen there in case this happens. It's called "If You're Happy and You Know It's Not a Neck." If you're happy and you know it's not a neck. If you're happy and you know that you really want to show it. If you're happy and you know it, snap a neck. Crack, crack.
So, I think we can delete that one from the combat tracker because it's well and truly dead. No amount of darkness points are bringing that one back.
God.
Very dear.
Oh. disgusting.
Not as disgusting as it would be on a living creature, because it is all dried and desiccated. But even so, it's fairly disgusting.
But yes, that's actually in-game. He, at least the first line, if you happen,
Yeah.
snap an act.
Oh, brilliant.
I'm a courtesan, I've seen worse.
So, that was Shahad. That was Shahad's first 2 AP, rather. You've still got an AP.
Beat the other one to death with the.
Yeah,
With the spinal
Well,
cord.
let's see.
You've now got a melee weapon. Yes. Beat me with the weapon. Does it have a wet
That
end?
is brilliant.
Do you have a squelch
Right.
noise? Because I fear you need one.
Do I have a squelch noise? I don't think I've got a good enough squelch noise, certainly. No.
Morality.
Let's see if there's something in the insect hive that might have a squelch. Insectoid hive. Do we have a suitable squelch here? No, apparently not.
Trying to remember, is it add quote or quote add?
It's add quote.
Can't spell.
Well, I will most certainly try. Okay, yes, the last move really is trying to turn around with my
So
spinal
spending your
cord
last
chain.
AP on moving, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, because this is largely mummified, the spinal column will not stay together well enough for you to use it as a flail.
Damn shame.
It's kind of going to fall apart once it gets into
Doesn't matter.
Open air.
It's more that the other creature sees what I've done, or that I see what it is trying to do to me.
Yeah, you can indeed maneuver around and see the other creature, which has grown its new foot.
Not growing a new spinal column, is it?
Grow a spine.
And it's going to be its initiative now. And just this once, I think we will stay up here, because I think we really ought to give this creature a chance to properly react to what you've just done to its friend before we head down and see what's happening with Zeynep.
You killed Kenny.
So, it has grown a new foot. It has managed to get a grip on the far wall. And it really, there's only one thing it can do. It's just going to have to push itself off the wall and do exactly the same thing as its friend attempted to do, and or almost exactly the same anyway, and try and body check Shahad into the far wall. Which, given that Shahad has no AP left to defend against this, is just going to be a straight melee combat roll.
How, given that he's got further to travel, is that all of his AP spent to do that?
Yeah, that's going to be essentially 1 for movement and 2 for the actual attack. Which will get a single 6 for a limited success. So you will be body checked into the wall behind you and into the dead plant thing behind you for 2 damage.
So
Yikes.
I'm down to 3. Because the other one didn't damage me before.
No, it didn't. It was too busy being killed. Right. Meanwhile, in engineering, Zaynab is stuck to the floor.
It's not going as well down here.
And there is a plant thing holding a door, essentially, towering over her. These plant things are not the smartest things in space. In a gravity well, it would be in a fantastic position here and just slam the gate down on you. It's going to try to do that anyway. But it's not in a gravity well.
Yeah, does it have to turn round first? Because you said that the gate was on the far side of it.
It will have to turn round first, yes. So it will spend.
Okay.
I'm gonna say it needs an action point for it to line up with this, so to speak. I could argue that was part of the attack, but I'm going to say it spends an action point turning to line up, and then it will swing its gate at you. But
sounds like
it's
such a euphemism.
It's not going to be as effective as it would be in a gravity well, where it would obviously have gravity on its side as it smashed something heavy down on top of you. This is just pure brute force because there's no gravity. Yeah. Are you going to attempt to defend against this? And how are you going to do so with no hands? Because you're welcome to defend, but you will have to tell me how you're doing it with no hands. I mean, you could try and block it with a foot as it's coming down or something like that, but...
Right.
Ouch.
Oh dear, that's just painful. Also, someone else can play with the edit quote while I'm trying to figure out what the hell I'm going to do to not die this round. Okay, it's attempting to smash down in front of me. Yeah. Where are my hands in relation to it?
To all intents and purposes, you are kind of in a crouch, half crouch, face down, with your hands on the floor in front of you. It is standing in front of you, so its feet are just behind your hands from your point of view, and it's trying to slam this thing down directly on top of it.
Can't believe I am even considering this.
Making a
but well, you just did a Mortal Kombat fatality. I've always been kind of fond of Sonya. And if I recall correctly, one of her moves is basically handstand with legs wrapped around the neck of the opponent.
There is a door in between.
No, there isn't, not yet.
Well, it's raising the door to slam it back down. So
and I'm just thinking,
if you can
going
beat it,
away,
that would be a counter-attack, very much.
I'm just thinking, pulling away from it still leaves my hands vulnerable because I can't move them.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have a door slam down on my hands, and even with limited damage, that's going to fucking hurt. If, however, I basically get even closer to it and pull myself up use my hands to pull myself into a handstand around its neck.
So, this is going.
It's going to bring down the door behind me, and I'm going to end up in a far too intimate position.
With this explanation of what you are doing, I am going to allow you to do melee combat on agility instead of strength for this one, because that just seems to make more sense.
Yeah, I wanted to try and explain what I wanted to do to try and clarify it for you.
If your hands weren't pinned to the floor, of course, then you could finish this up by yelling "spinning bird kick."
Exactly. Yeah. As it is, I'm going to end up putting myself in far too close a position, but on the other hand, it's going to be far harder for it to actually hit me.
So, okay, roll your melee combat, please.
Okay, so agility. Oh, gods. Well, bollocks.
That didn't go so well for you.
No. You don't have to tell me how successfully it rolled, do you?
I don't.
Before I decide to re-roll.
I am, for the most part, however, because I'm such a lovely guy. I have been giving you some indication because it costs you a darkness point as to how useful, how significant it's going to be. In this case, I will tell you that it has hit you, but it's not done anything spectacular.
I'm on 2 hit points. I have to take a reroll. It will kill me when it hits me next.
Well, it will break you, technically.
Yeah, thanks for that.
At 0, you're broken, but you're not dead yet.
Yeah.
You're headed towards dead, obviously, at 0, at broken.
Uh-huh. Have a darkness point, dear.
Right,
I wish you was letting me
unconscious or
use it.
paralysed with pain,
Yeah.
broken.
I take it you weren't allowing me to use my dexterity.
No. This was still a melee combat roll, which you don't have any points in, but it was
It's
done on
the same
agility
roll.
instead.
No, dexterity would have given me an extra die.
Ah.
Just saying. Yeah, here are some straws. Here is me clutching at them.
Punching at them, yeah.
You're stuck to the straws.
Oh, you boss wipe!
Oh.
I really hate
Unfortunate.
virtual die rollers. I hate them.
Okay,
I so prefer real
you-
dice.
You kick up off the ground, aiming for its head with your feet.
Yeah.
And unfortunately it moves just slightly too quick for you. The gate comes down, smashes into your calves, and smashes you back to the floor. You do indeed take 2 hit points, putting
I'm
you to
broken.
0.
Yeah.
You are still alive, you are still conscious,
Oh, good. That's
and you have
cheery.
taken no critical injuries, so you don't have a broken leg or anything.
I feel like the
However-
morning, with luck.
You are essentially incapacitated with pain at this point. And until you can recover some hit points, you are out of the fight.
Right. Okay. And unfortunately, did you know who the person with the med skills is? Oh, that would be me. I have got a med kit though.
So getting broken is not fatal, only critical injuries can actually kill you. There's 2 ways to get back up. One is first aid, and the other is pushing on. When you've been broken and no one is around to treat you, you automatically recover 1 hit point after D6 hours. This doesn't take into account the additional damage you will have taken from the exploding space station in the meantime. Just want to check whether you can attempt first aid on yourself. I mean, obviously not until there is no creature
Her hands
beating
are still
down
tied,
on you.
So she can't.
I'm hoping that if it thinks I'm dead, it'll bugger off and leave me alone.
Yeah, but with your corpse in tow.
It's fine by me.
Okay, I can find nothing to say that you can do first aid on yourself. However, were you in a position to be able to, which you're not at the moment, I think I would allow it, but at obviously a severe penalty. Meanwhile, we're skipping Zeynep in the initiative order, funnily enough. And we will head back upstairs to Farouk. First one is definitely dead. Second one appears to be taking its place, however. Almost exactly, since it's hurled itself straight at Shahad.
Have I got a clear shot at its head?
You have not got a clear shot at its head, however, I will...
Oh, with me to do tuck to the
Because
wall.
initiative order is always interesting, because technically, because it's gone before you in the initiative order, you're shooting into a melee at this point, essentially. However, if you wanted to take a quick shot, because initiative is action times are fluid in these things, I will allow a quick shot to take place while it's still in the air, and with no risk of hitting Shahad. Any standard or aimed shot will have a risk of hitting Shahad.
No!
Hitting Shahad. However, obviously, if it were an aimed shot, far less chance of hitting Shahad because you're aiming it carefully.
Okay, I'll spend an AP and take the quick shot.
Okay. So that's going to be effectively a -1 net modifier after quick shot and plus the targeting scope.
There's what there it is.
You get your 6, so that will deal 2 damage to it. Unless you want to go for additional damage by spending a darkness point and re-rolling some of those others.
Nope.
Nope.
You've got enough darkness points.
Okay, so yeah, as it is heading across on its leap towards Shahad, you open fire and a small chunk of whatever material it is that is being fired, presumably something ferrous, plows through its lower torso, knocking free chunks of desiccated flesh and plant, but it continues on and smacks into Shahad, as we have already seen. So you've got another 2 APs.
Okay, this is where I might end up giving you a darkness point. Because I'm taking another shot. This is a regular shot.
Regular shot for another 2 APs.
Yes.
So that means no modifiers to this at all, apart from the +1 from the targeting scope. Ow!
Yeah, I'm giving you a darkness point.
I will take that darkness point.
I rolled the wrong thing. That rolled survival.
That rolled survival.
Yes,
Yeah.
you did.
How many adrift were the dice? If it's the same number of dice, then I'm going to say it
No,
stands.
it's
If
one
not,
of
re-roll it.
two,
In that
one
case, I'll take the darkness. I'll get rid of the darkness point. Re-roll it.
Okay.
Yeah, you do get rather more dice on ranged combat, don't you?
Yes.
And 2 successes there. 2 hits. So you can. One of them will hit. The other one. How many? What did I say the crit rating of your weapon was? Accelerator pistol crit rating 1. So you have a choice. You can either hit it for 3 damage, or you can hit it for 2 damage and roll a critical. Certain criticals may not apply to these creatures. If you get one of those criticals, it will simply do that.
I'll take the critical.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see what these tables are like.
So let's apply the 2 damage first off. And roll me a d66. For anyone who doesn't know what a d66 is, that is 2 6-sided dice, rolled counting one as tens and the other as units in the same way that you would do for percentile dice. So it gets you a result between 11 and 66 with a whole bunch of things not present. Like 71, for example.
I've got the option of a D60.
Yeah, I think you're just going to have to roll 2 6s. I don't think Fantasy Grounds can handle a d66.
Right, so it's the tens.
So 60 something. So it's going to be a good
Oh
one.
boy.
61.
61. Okay.
Go.
This is a fatal wound. Let me
Yes.
check whether it
Is it
will
fatal
actually
for
kill
what?
one of these by looking at in more detail at what it has actually done. Right, critical results.
Broken nail and died.
I
You,
might have gone through its final column, it's just...
your second shot hits its going to be its left arm. And I think under the circumstances I'm going to say that It's smashed into Shahad, brought up that arm for balance, so to speak, and your shot has hit it almost straight along the bone of the upper arm. It goes in at the elbow, through and out at the shoulder, shattering the entire upper arm. The lower arm just drifts off into space. And it takes some significant damage to the shoulder as well. Destroyed arm. Fatal wound. Time limit D6 minutes. Effect unconscious D6 hours, then -2 to dexterity. The arm is permanently lost. No use of two-handed weapons. Obviously, the unconscious D6 hours obviously is if you don't die in D6 minutes, which is what happens without medical attention.
Oh, I'm gonna give it medical attention.
Even though these things are reanimated dead bodies with plant matter, I am going to say that that is a fatal wound for this thing. Yes.
Good.
It's blown clear of Shahad by the shot, in addition to losing its arm, and is just spinning in the middle of the corridor, drifting slowly towards the airlock. Unconscious, and with the plant matter beginning to slowly unravel, which, as Shahad moves away from it, you will see the same thing is happening to the other one. The plant life is effectively dying off and losing its grip on the body. And it will take a few minutes for this one to actually fully die. But in the meantime, it's unconscious, so it's no threat to you anymore. It's dying. Well done. 2 down.
Yeah. I feel like I'm not really keeping up my end of the game here.
I could actually save it. Technically, I can heal a critical wound for 2 darkness points on these things because they regenerate. But I am going to also reason that it needs to have slightly more consciousness than it currently has to repair that damage. If it was still up, maybe I'd spend 2 darkness points and let it grow a new arm. But I am going to argue that it can't, that it's an effort of will, because the regeneration isn't automatic. I'm going to argue that it is an effort of will to regenerate, and it currently has no will to exercise. So, both dead
okay?
up on top. And one unconscious, or semi-conscious Zeynep down below. We will come back in a moment to explain what is happening to Zeynep.
Uh-oh.
But first,
Mummy.
as you are recovering from your battle, as Shahad is pulling himself away from the corpse of the one that he killed, and the other one is drifting slowly towards the airlock, the situation takes a turn for not really better or worse. It simply takes a turn for the different.
Hi, Ria.
As the airlock simply vanishes in a cloud of metal splinters which shred what's left of the one that's arm you just destroyed.
Well, that explains why it's not regenerating.
Can you both make me a dexterity check, please? Because you're in an area that is now being subjected to explosive decompression.
If we don't have dexterity,
Would
then agility or?
That would be agility if you don't have the dexterity skill.
can I use
yes.
Exo Specialist?
You can indeed use Exo Specialist, which I believe gives you extra dice.
+2.
Nice.
There you go.
So with
We're
my
rapidly
360, if he
dancing
fails,
out.
I'll just grab him.
Wow, yeah. Well, you both actually succeeded. So Shahad manages to get one hand on one of the pipes and just hold himself in place as the air rushes past you. Farouk, however, just kind of casually reaches out one hand, doesn't even hold the wall, just braces himself, triggers a short burst from the jets on his vac suit, and doesn't move a muscle other than that. He stays exactly where he is, as there's a brief rush of air, and then silence.
Yeah, I'm a flag in the wind.
The air is still leaking out through this hole, but the initial mad rush is over, and so you can now safely maneuver without worrying about being sucked out.
The corpses are going out, right?
Well, one of them's been shredded. The other one is going out through the hole, yeah.
Good.
Downstairs, Zeynep is a very unhappy Zeynep. In the distance, she can faintly hear what she thinks are the sounds of combat coming from the direction of the generator.
Okay.
Presumably, Tash is engaging the one that has left.
Yeah.
The squat one once again raises the gate, this time shifting its grip to do what looks like it's going to do what you had planned. Bring it down edge on
Yeah.
towards you. It raises it, and as it starts bringing it down, the whole station shakes.
Ship shake!
And there is a rush of air which throws it back off its feet and into the elevator shaft.
There needs to be a Wilhelm scream.
Yeah.
It doesn't make one, but
You beat me to it, fish.
Damn you with your samples.
as it clambers to its feet and starts lumbering towards you, now without the gate. All looks like it is over for Zeynep, despite that brief respite.
Yeah.
When there is another sound. Not very loud sound, apparently. That's more like it.
I can cope with that.
And its head disappears.
I was going to say, if they had
Literally.
learned how to use guns, I would just at this point be throwing popcorn at you.
Literally disappears in a burst of light and heat.
Yummy.
You have just enough capability left to be able to shift slightly and look down past your body to where Tash is striding forward, her thermal carbine in one hand. No sign of injury whatsoever.
Yay for our team.
You look like you could do with a hand. Right, does she
yeah.
have appropriate skills for medicine? Of course she doesn't. However,
Just free my hands.
you, I believe, have a medkit.
I
Do
do.
you not?
I do, because I also have medicogy.
Right, so she will use your medkit.
But how? You have to take off your suit.
Just to get you up, and she's not dealing with a critical injury, so this is primarily going to be things like stabilizer shots, possibly some adrenaline, that kind of thing, which I am going to assume can be done through specially designed ports in the suit.
Makes sense.
So she gets a +2 to medicurgy from using your medkit. Let's see whether there is. There we go. Okay. It includes 10 M doses, which is a one-use injector for stabilizing wounds and treating poison, disease, or radiation. called life insurance or first aid in soldier slang, though the Legionnaires are of the belief that one's carbine is the first aid, instead referring to the M-dose as the fuse or the last aid. M-dose should be used together with a med kit. On its own, it gives only a +1 to Medicurgy. So, assuming she's using an M-dose and has the rest of the stuff from the
Yeah, the
med
kit's not been used at all yet.
hang on. Bonuses from medical equipment do not stack. That's an interesting one. M-dose is used with a med kit, however. And it doesn't say that the med kit gets less of a benefit if you don't use the M-dose. So I'm going to ignore that not stacking thing, and I'm going to give her +3 dice for using up one of the M-doses in your med kit. You let me know quickly, save me looking it up. What is it? Wits for Medicurgy, I'm assuming?
It doesn't actually say. I would assume wits.
Okay, so I will look it up on your character sheet then, because it is right. You get 66, which logically means it's got to be wits, because that's the only 5 you have got.
Hey, that's why I just rolled it. And can you just see the roll I just made?
Wow.
Bloody hell!
How many points does she
Pretty
regenerate?
Cool. I'm going to let that roll stand. Tash has 3 wits and gets +3 dice from the
So 6 dice.
the kit, which is
I'm
exactly
not
the number
arguing
of
that.
dice you just rolled. So I am going to allow those 3 6s to stand.
Yeah.
Crit.
I was largely making the roll just to confirm that that's how many dice it was. But no, not arguing. Trust me, no arguments coming from this direction at all. It's all good. We are fine.
So let me just look up
Oh,
the recovering rules
Conversation.
again.
Jesus, what?
Right, so first aid. If the roll is successful, you get back up immediately, regaining hit points equal to the number of 6s on the Medicurgy roll. So you are on 3 hit points.
Whoop.
And
Bloody hell.
That's almost full health, isn't it?
Yes.
and after delivering the
Nice.
aid with the med kit, she then uses her Mercurium blade to cut you free of the plants.
Thank you so much.
Right, all of this has taken approximately 2 minutes.
God, how long did we give it?
You've got about 14 minutes remaining on your countdown. You've also got a ranting voice on the tannoy, and have had for about the last minute or so since combat was winding down.
It's a bit busy.
Didn't my routing of the power shorten the countdown to 12 minutes?
Oh, don't tell him!
You shortened
But
the
no, I think it
countdown,
did.
but you actually shortened it from 35 to 20.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
And then you
Alright.
you took a bit off because you arranged things properly with the explosives and so forth. But I had it in my head, based on a quick re-listen to the end of the last session, that you would have 16 minutes at the start of play.
Right.
We've
Okay.
had a fight, we've had some healing, we've had some recovery from the fact that the wall's been blown out next to you, and I'm going to put you at roughly the same point now, with approximately 14 minutes remaining. And you do of course have comms, so feel free to talk to one another. But first off, the ranting. The ranting has been mostly more along the lines of what you got at the end of round 1. You can't do this, you can't stop us. The growth must reach Dabaran. We will save... Oh, hell, I should have looked this up in advance.
Yehenna.
Yeah, no.
That was it, Yehenna.
Yay for my notes.
Well done, notes.
Yay.
Of course, I can see your notes if I want to. Look, there they are. Hooray, notes. Look at that.
I keep wanting to call it Gehenna, and that's not the same thing altogether.
No, that is
No.
not the same.
Old,
thing.
yeah,
It's
Emirate
the
of Old Gehenna.
Yes, the Emirate of Yehenna. Yeah, we will save Yehenna. So that kind of stuff is largely
Yeah.
going on.
Rue, yeah, thanks for the door. We're fine. On this level, I can't speak for Zeynep. She sounded hurt. Zeynep, can you report?
It got nasty down here, but Tash is really useful.
Excellent.
What are you doing over there? The whole station's lit up.
Is that Tash?
Yeah, no, that's Ruya.
Ruya.
Yeah.
We found an extra entrance, or in our case, a fast exit.
Yeah, the station's lit up because we needed the power. We're blowing the place up. Hence needing the fast exit. Also, we had some encounters with hostile locals.
Very.
Well, it wasn't looking too happy to begin with. It's not looking any happier with those holes in. You should get out as soon as possible.
Priority, yes.
10 minutes.
We're leaving. Okay.
Shihad, unless you want to stay, there's probably not much more you can do here. Get that data back to the ship. I'll stand guard on the exit here.
Yep. Bye.
Yes.
Nyum.
I could argue and be noble, but no, it's great. I'm gone.
There is one
Yeah,
small
da, da, da.
flaw with this plan.
Oh dear.
Bucky cable.
The Bucky cable. Because the original plan was that you, with your exosuit specialization, would collect said cable and bring it back for the others.
I'd forgotten that bit.
So I turned around, look at the wonderful hole, and there is no line in sight.
There's a
to
ship
slip
over
across.
there somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, currently
You're
you're looking at the
getting-
front of the ship. Normally you'd be looking at a different part of the ship, wherever the airlock is. I can't remember off the top of my head, but let's just bring up the plans and have a quick look.
I've seen Gravity. This is not going to end well.
But you're looking at the front of the ship right now because somebody pointed it at the station and fired a gun.
Why ever would they do that?
So the gun's on the left-hand side. Oh, it's a Vulcan cannon, not a railgun. I thought it was an accelerator cannon. For some reason, I had it in my head that it was an accelerator cannon.
Is a Vulcan cannon a...
Vulcan cannon is a big-ass gyrojet launcher, basically. So
Oh, that's the
the
heavy bolter.
the explosion was equally valid for a Vulcan cannon.
Yes.
That basically fired a rocket.
Okay.
Big hole.
Big hole. Not being on board the station that's about to explode, that's a good thing.
That's why the Nautilus stats, which I've taken from a standard scarab in the rulebook, lists an accelerator cannon. The plans list a Vulcan cannon.
Oh, okay. Fair
I'm
enough.
going to give you a choice right now as to which one you want it to be, since it's your ship. If you want, I can take a quick look in the Starship chapter and see whether there are any specific advantages to one or other, or you can just go with what you think sounds cool. And we seem to have lost that again.
The accelerator cannon is a railgun, so there's little recoil on it. It's ferrous rounds because it's magnetic. And the bolt gun is rocket-powered rounds.
So, accelerator cannon
And
has
I'm back.
You are back.
Species.
Medium range, +1 bonus to hit, 1 damage, 2 crit. Costs 25,000.
Is that Vulcan or is that
That's
accelerator
the
cannon?
accelerator. I've not found the Vulcan cannon yet. Okay, so far I'm not seeing a Vulcan cannon in the list of weapons available for the ship. So it may be an accelerator cannon after all.
This may be a really easy choice.
Yeah.
Accelerator cannon's cool.
It may just have been a typo. Accelerator cannon.
Okay.
No, that's not it. There's an autocannon, which is a small Vulcan cannon used to counter boarding attempts or incoming torpedoes, but that's not really what you're looking for here at all.
Yeah, countermeasures.
Yeah. But no sign of a large Vulcan cannon for ships. So yeah, it'll be an accelerator cannon then. Solves that problem. Ooh yeah, the autocannon's got a really crappy range. Great damage, really crappy range. And really low, really bad crit score as well, so
Okay.
Effectively, you can do a lot of surface level damage with the autocannon, but you're unlikely to penetrate and do serious ship system damage. Great for taking things apart, though.
Okay.
So yeah, it is an accelerator cannon. And as I said, you are now facing the front of the ship, because that's where the accelerator cannon protrudes on the left-hand side. The airlock that you came out of was... There's got to be an airlock here somewhere. Logically, there's got to be an airlock here somewhere. Ah, yeah. Oh, that's handy. The airlock is indeed at the front of the ship.
Cool.
On the underside. So
Handy.
you can indeed head straight there. All that Ruya needs to do is just do that with the ship. Because as it was before, it would have been with the bottom of the ship facing the station, so you could come straight out from the airlock towards the station. So, what's going on with Zeynep and Tash?
Right. How long do I think it will take to get up to where, as far as I know, there is a airlock?
You're not in very good condition at the moment, which will slow you down a little bit, but you're in 0G with Tash to help.
Yeah.
You can probably swoop through there relatively swiftly and get back in about 4 or 5 minutes.
Right. Okay.
The ranting stopped now.
The ranting has stopped.
Zeynep, do you need a hand getting up? I can
No.
come back to get you.
It's okay. Everybody out. This pool's about to get very, very hot. Let's try something. Okay. The comms are on. Intercom is on. We could do with the distraction, couldn't we? Ideally. This is out of character. I'm not asking them, gosh, should we try and distract them? Because that might not work too well for us. They could just hear us through the speaker, through the intercom, couldn't they?
We
Before-
believe so, yes. We don't know for sure, but they
Yeah.
seemed to be able to.
They seem to be able to.
You were previously operating, when you were talking to the voice, you were previously operating on the assumption that they could hear you through the plant.
Yeah.
Whether that was true, you do not know, but either way, the atmosphere in this station is rapidly venting
Yeah.
and will thus not carry a lot of sound anymore.
Okay. In that case. Okay, look, I don't want to die. And I don't think you want to die. You want your growth to escape, that's fine. I will meet you in the bio lab. You bring whatever you need that you want us to take off this ship, this station, and we will take it for you. Just, we don't want to die. Flicking to comms. Ignore the previous 30 seconds or so. Sotto voce.
Okay.
And then indicating to Tash.
See, my thought bubble is they've got the station is decompressing. Is that not enough of a distraction?
The thing, it could be, but on the other hand, I want their intelligent focus as far away from the airlock as I can think of, and the lab is in the center of the ship.
Yeah.
It's center of the station. So if I can get their focus away from where we need to be, then that might help. I don't know if it will. Hasn't cost me anything to do it.
You're a whiz of the data gin kind. Can you make the computers indicate that there's something happening on the other side of the station? We powered everything up. It's got power.
Yeah.
I can try. And if it's only the sprinklers, then it is the sprinklers. But I will see what I can do.
Okay, yeah, you can find a terminal to tap into. Make me a data gen roll.
No.
Or not.
I've got data gen. Can I lend some assistance?
Right, if I remember correctly, yes, but I've now forgotten how. Hang on a moment while I find out. Don't think that's one of the things that I made a note of.
For someone that's got such a focused background, I've got a reasonable spread of skills.
Yeah.
Flash it, shoot a gun, data gen.
I'm fine. If I'm in a tomb, I will be fine.
Help from others. Other PCs or NPCs with at least a level 1 in the skill you're about to test can help you succeed. They must state that they're helping you before you roll the dice, but we'll play that a little bit fast and loose because we don't know the system very well. It must also fit with the story. That's not a problem. You're looking over his shoulder saying, do this.
Yep. He's actually right next to me.
So yeah, for every person helping you, you get a +1 modifier. Now, how I did this before, I now remember, is that I basically let you roll that extra die.
That extra die.
So, roll a d6. If you get a 6, he's succeeded.
Pray to whichever got you. Sorry.
You can, however, of course, still get a reroll on all those dice by giving me a darkness point if you wish.
Oh yeah, because everybody else does. How many ones you roll?
Have you given a darkness point yet, Mackie?
Now might be a good time. I'm guessing they reset at the end of each scenario, by the way, Fish.
Oh no.
No, they carry over.
These are my darkness points to do with as I will. One of the main ways of earning darkness points is in fact often taking place between scenarios, which is that I will earn darkness points every time you jump through a portal between systems. It is impossible to travel to another system without giving me darkness.
Oh.
Yeah.
Ribbony.
Just clicking it and
Quick
see
pray
what,
to the messenger.
Holy moly!
how many distractions do you want?
Okay, well you've got your critical success there straight away, just on that, without even the extra die. Nice, roll that die. Go on, see if you can make it 4. Yes!
Yay! Excellent stuff.
4
Lights
6s.
up like Christmas.
Yay!
Okay.
Other side of the station, 4th of July party. Maybe we can.
So you hack into the terminal, access the ship systems, and start setting off all kinds of displays and alerts and things on the far side of the station to attract attention. As you're doing so, 2 things occur as a result of this critical. Firstly, you notice a security log being registered right now. So this isn't an old thing, this is something that is happening right at this very moment. And it is logging an identity recognition.
Oh shit.
Identifying...
Oh no.
Lost the name, hang on a moment.
It's going to be the professor.
No, good guess,
okay.
but no. Identifying Wahina Adala. Now, it's been a little while, so I'm going to reshare this with you to remind you where you might know that name from.
Holy moly. Oh.
And this log is identifying Wahina Adala and granting access to external assets. Takes you a moment to click through and identify the external asset, but then you get a second security log from that, and it is a handshake from the Shamsa to this station.
Excuse me.
The Shamsa being the ship you came looking for in the
Yeah.
first place. The one that
She
you
should
know
be
is
long dead.
docked on the far side of the station. And that log, that handshake, also includes an identification. Access granted to Siyab Dahiljaba,
Which is the person we were here for.
which is the scientist you were here looking for.
Now, whilst she may have been maybe long dead, her
Yeah.
ident card may not be. And if Dahiljaba has her ident card
Yeah.
and is under the influence of whatever this is,
We're down to about 8 minutes.
You are.
we don't have time to mess about.
We don't have time to piss about with this.
If they are trying to undock, we need to shut down that.
Kill the docking bay, yeah.
Thank you.
Kill the airlock.
That's what I was looking for. Hard anchor the Shamsa.
Yeah, because no.
Okay.
Nope.
I'm going to
I try
request.
to reroute the security systems of the station to blow up the Shamsa.
That's an option.
The station doesn't really have any significant offensive capability that could be used for that. However, the easiest way to blow up the Shamsa is to do exactly what Knight already suggested: just stop it from leaving,
That way it'll get blown
because
up.
the
when
station's
second
going to go up anyway.
Could you stick the airlock in the diagnostic mode? Basically, have it run through self-tests.
That sort of thing may well work.
Indeed.
We
So
don't need it
it's,
to last forever.
So you got the last 8 minutes.
Yeah.
It's going to be
Yeah.
another
By the way,
data
at this
roll.
point, we are basically frantically pulling ourselves along.
Yeah. I'm
you
assuming
for
that
leaving us so
these
many
two are working
handholds.
on this, talking to
There
you
is a
over
6
comms
for
as
that
you
one.
come buzzing through.
That's good because I only got a 3.
You got a lot
Okay,
of
so
dice.
yeah, that is going to be enough to do exactly what Drut suggested. I think seems like a very reasonable thing.
So the ship can't
You
undock
put
at
the
least for a
docking
week.
lock into a diagnostic routine, which, according to the ship system, the station systems, will take 12 minutes to run. And the dock cannot be released until that diagnostic is complete. Or until the dock blows apart because the entire station goes. Whichever
An
comes
interesting
first.
noise it makes every time they try. It's ding ding.
It's really good. Ding,
A
ding,
small
ding, ding,
paperclip
ding, ding,
appears
ding.
on board the Shamsa saying you appear to be trying to leave. Would you like a hand with that?
No, absolutely not. Darth Clippy back in your box.
Okay. So, yeah. You tap away, do some hacking, get this sorted out, and shortly after you do so, a rather battered looking but otherwise whole Zeynep and Tash come literally flying down the corridor with some speed.
Tash is going
Tash,
to be in trouble
like
now.
Farouk, is comfortable in 0G and has been assisting you all the way along, so you're moving quicker than you otherwise would have been.
Tash, however, if I recall correctly, is also at least gloveless.
She had gloves.
She had
No,
gloves.
she had gloves. We've got the helmet that might work.
Yeah, you got her sorted out before
We did, yeah.
going
Sorry, I
down to
take it back.
engineering because she was
Yeah.
going to have to leave.
Okay. Out of here? What did you do? There's a door there!
We were
Well,
obscured
not
from the
anymore.
door, and it got damaged in the scrap.
Is that a spine?
It was.
What? Never mind.
And that's an arm, but don't worry about it. It's not ours.
Okay, so effectively repeating the earlier maneuvers via spacewalk. This is going to be a dexterity check, including the bonus for Exo Specialist from Knight. And what I will do, I'm not going to belabor the point here. That's going to be the only roll needed, provided that he doesn't screw that up. He'll get the bucky cable into place and you'll all get across.
Don't fuck it up, dude. I mean, we'll get there faster if we all end up getting blown out of the hole.
You will all
but-
get there one way or another. What this roll is for is how long it takes you to do it.
Okay.
a fail basically means that it doesn't go smoothly. And
Oh, that is not a fail.
Crit. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, and in that case,
Pulling
with
out.
aid from 2 people who are comfortable in 0G, you get the bucket cable back into place and everybody across in record time.
Oh, really motivated.
Yeah.
And in no time flat, you are back on board the Nautilus.
Mm-hmm.
And
Decontamination showers are going to be
Decontamination. I was about to say, yes.
Ruya?
And Ruya is moving at you away. Yeah.
This shuttle is reversing. Beep, beep, beep.
Shuttle is getting the hell out of Dodge.
Mm.
You're going to all still be in decontamination when the explosion goes off. But you know it's happened because you can hear oohs and ahs from Ruya and Zebo as they observe the detonation of the station.
They'd better have been filming this.
And you can point the Nautilus back
Elsewhere.
towards Dabaran and at least partial payment. You don't get the bonus. You weren't able to recover the good professor.
No.
But you do have the records of what happened, and you have data taken from the station, including most of the research data that they were
Now that's going
in.
to be worth having.
Yep, especially my copy that I tell nobody about.
And there, I think we shall leave it for this session and this scenario. Thank you very much for playing. Thank you, everybody watching, for watching.
Thank you for running it. That was very cool.
That was fun.
Played a bit fast and loose here and there with the quick play. It's a good quick play. I've played, run, and read quite a lot of quick start adventures for different games over the years, and this is one of the best I've seen, to be honest. It's the scenario is loose enough that if you're not an experienced GM, it could cause you problems, because it's not like D&D where everything's pinned down and you go from room A to room B and fight monster C. It presents the situation and the players and then leaves you very much to make it up as you go along. But it contains all of the rules that you need to play it without going to another book. It contains all of the stats. It doesn't have any of the huge glaring omissions and flaws that I've found in some other quick plays. So I can highly recommend it if anybody is interested in playing Coriolis. I would say, take the leap, buy the core book. It's a good game. It's a great looking book. Pick it up. It's well worth having. But whether you buy the core book or not, this quick play is still very playable and well worth giving it a go. So, thank you all.